I played 30 games of TFT this past week, so you don't have to. And this time I climbed a bunch. I climbed maybe like 250 LP, but it was all mainly from Dominators. I noticed a pattern. I played 30 games and 10 of them were Dominator games. So we are going to go over all 10 of those games in about 3 hours. And I pretty much broke even LP wise with everything else. But with Dominators, I averaged 2.4 over 10 games, which is around like 260, 270 LP. I didn't really do the exact math, but like pretty much all the other comps I was playing break even, and I wanted to hard force something for the video. I was thinking either Emissary comp, which I think is really strong, but I kept getting AP items, so I'm like, all right, time for Dominators. So we're gonna go over each and every one of those games. If you ever wanted to know how to play this comp, I'm gonna give you a quick rundown. So I have it as like one of the top comps right now on the tier list, but essentially there's two versions, emblem and no emblem. But with the no emblem version, you could go 6 Dominator also. Like you could either go 5 Black Rose or 3 Black Rose, and you could always just replace Morgana, and let's say you didn't hit LeBlanc and play stuff like Ziggs and the Blitzcrank instead. And that way you have a very solid team overall. Both versions work. Like you really play around Mundo and Silco, and also Mordekaiser in the late game. Edge Knight Mordekaiser, absolutely disgusting stuff. And for the Ziggs, he's a great early game item holder for like Morello and whatever mana item you have for him. And he just completely dominates everyone in stage 3 and 4. At least parts of stage 4 until you get Silco 2-star. If you do have the emblem, the game gets a lot easier. I normally put it on my LeBlanc, so I'm just going to put it on you for now and then drop it on LeBlanc, because LeBlanc just gets a lot of AP from this little trait. And then you could drop Ziggs and move the items onto her. So she could be your Morello holder, all good stuff there. Elise can also use it if you want to play like a backline Elise. She's pretty good with Dominator Emblem if you don't have anyone better to hold it. Garen's pretty solid to tech in. Vladimir also for Black Rose and Sorcerer and Watcher if you do play the Garen, but you don't need to play Garen if you don't have space for it, because we don't always get level 9 or level 10 or get a Force of Nature. But there are a lot of weird things you could tech in, such as like Victor, Mel, of course, just take one of the crappy units out and put them in, or drop down to 4 Dominator if you don't have the emblem. And also like Mbessa can be good if you need Conqueror for Mordekaiser if Mordekaiser's doing a lot of carrying. But pretty much just get like mana items plus Nasher plus Jeweled Gauntlet on your Silco, Morello on someone, anyone like Ziggs or LeBlanc. Cassio can use it too, and then Edge of Night plus any damage items from Mordekaiser. I like Nasher's Tooth the most, and then whatever tank items you could find on Mundo and Protector's Vow on Elise. That's like the quick rundown. And as for augments, like obviously all the Dominator stuff works well, the Black Rose stuff works well, but I do like getting maybe like one of the econ augments because it helps you just hit your whole team very easily. It's also really good at going fast 9 if you happen to win streak a lot. So if you like playing legendaries, this is going to be a good comp to try as well. But let's get right into the games because we have 10 of them to go over to do a complete like masterclass on this. And my favorite part about these games is that you'll start noticing a pattern on what causes first places, what causes seconds, and what causes bot 4s. We're going to start game 1 with a very, very weird game because we're on Warwick Galaxy. If you don't know how that works yet, the more units you kill, the more chance you get at getting loot from those dead units. And now what that means is that you need a very good early game, because if you win the early game, you get more gold, and then you have a better mid game. And unfortunately for me, this game, I get a bad early game while trying to play for a good one. That's the worst scenario, right? And then after that, I pivot into some weird board with restart mission, and then I try to make some semblance of a Dominator board and try to claw back as much as I can. So let's just get right into this. We have a Bruiser start, so right from the get-go, I'm not even thinking Dominators, but I do get a Rod, so maybe I could do some sort of AP build. And I end stage 1 with a bunch more AP items and some Sentinels. For my first augment, not a fan of Placebo on this Galaxy. 1, 2, 3 is definitely possible if I can get upgrades, but I'm thinking I want an item augment, like Bandit Thieves would be the best here, but Blistering Strikes, that's going to help me win streak the most, so I end up picking that. This shop, on the other hand, pretty garbage, but I am going to slam Ionic Spark because I do want to go into some form of AP build. Unfortunately, just not the right units out there right now. They're all 1-star. We get absolutely dumpster fired here, but in the next shop, I do end up picking up a Renata, playing her over the Vex. Still not good, still garbage board. After getting rocked again, we pick up in our next shop a 2-star Aurelia, which is absolutely crucial to us. We also get a Morgana. I'm thinking Visionary Sentinel Heimerdinger. That's the first comp that comes to my mind. We lose 3 in a row, but because it's me, I'm still second pick and not even first pick. I want a tier here. Unfortunately, someone else takes it, so I guess I could go for maybe like a Rod. If I'm hard forcing Dominators, you could go for the Ziggs here. Belt's good because it builds into Morellonomicon. I think that's my plan right there. Had I been win streaking, I'd probably build a Redemption, maybe build a Adaptive Helm even, but you always want to build around the units you have upgraded and also try to balance between tank and damage. So Ionic Spark is like a damage item in the early game, so I probably need a bit more tankiness for our team. But because we are losing, it honestly doesn't matter. I get a Singe 2, pretty nice stuff. And since I am no wins all of stage 2, Warwick really ravaged me pretty badly in areas that I don't want to say out loud. Next shop, we get a Leona. You can see I'm like, in my team planner, I'm thinking Heimer Sentinel here because we have the Visionaries, we have the Sentinels, but I am coping with the Ziggs on my bench. I'm a huge Ziggs fan. Ziggs Fast 9 is such a good way to play, but in case you haven't heard, you need Ziggs 2 to make that happen, and we only got 1 Zigg. So in this next shop, level up. We have not leveled up much in this entire game yet, and we are able to arguably even make it to level 6. I'm thinking my team's so weak, I don't want to level up, give people an extra unit to get stuff off of. But if I had a 2-star damage dealer in the backline, I probably would go for it. Like a 2-star Morgana with blue buff definitely slaps. I'm about to do the special 6 loss into Warwick Galaxy, so all my opponents have like a ton of gold and I don't. For the next augment, rolling for days, probably not. Item collector, it's okay. It's probably glass cannon here. Dumbify, very risky to take because I'm just not gonna have a board, so it's just restart mission. Don't even need to look at the other augment because like you're just always taking this, and like this is very strong because it will enable you to win a lot of rounds if you get good units. We have okay units, at least we have people that can hold our items. It's at this moment where I really wish I had some form of damage item, that way I could put it on my backline Swain, and I probably would win a lot of rounds if that were the case, but unfortunately I just don't here. And you could see that evidence here where we face a team with like pretty solid 2. He's got 2-star Twisted Fate for some reason, along with the 2-star Nocturne. Like, yeah, we're getting our tuck is handed to us again. And then despite taking restart mission where you should win after it, I faced a person with 4 Conqueror and they had Mbessa already, and they end up winning also. So they're just going to get infinite Conqueror stacks while also getting Warwick loot off the orbs. But luckily enough, I managed to kill all but 1 unit, so we're actually not too bad of a loss there. Then, despite being first pick on Carousel, someone has Young, Wild, and Free, so they get the sword I want for the Shojin. So I end up just grabbing this Garen. I'm thinking Garen can be played in a lot of different comps, and I was thinking maybe I could do the Swain Emissary build, and so I pick up an Emissary hoping that that will happen. So I leveled to 7, rolled down a bit, try to look for some Namis, maybe I luck out, get an Mbessa, who knows, but don't really improve my board that much, unfortunately. Like, this rolled down pretty badly. I'm actually not too sure what I could have done differently, other than just wait 2 more rounds, take even more of a beating, and pray I get to level 8 and do some roll down there. But like, I don't want people to just get free stacks off of me from Warwick, and despite leveling up and rolling a bunch, like I still lose the next round, so that is completely awful. Like, this person gets an item off of me or like a chest off of me, and it's just so bad, mainly because like if we had a Swain item it'd be fine. But I'm opening up my team planner for like the 4th time this game, trying to think of like what comps I could play, and I switch over to Dominators at this point. I honestly don't even know why. Into Wolf Camp, we have the 10 loss streak on this portal. Very ideal, right? Sarcasm for those who cannot tell. I've heard some people don't know what sarcasm is or like can't understand it, so I'll try to like not exclude them. But we get our emissaries though, so that's kind of nice. Unfortunately, I don't have time to like reroll for stuff, and I also don't have like the best items for it because I don't have a single rod. The only rod I have is on the Ionic Spark, but I don't have like a free rod to put on my backline, unfortunately. So I'm thinking play this comp temporarily, then switch into something else later, because Dominators don't need that many AP items because they just need a Shojin. You get so much value from the Dominator trait giving you so much AP, so that's kind of why I switched out of it. Like, probably I should have stuck with it for a little longer, I think, because I did find all the emissaries. Maybe I should have just played them now that I look back on it. Probably a mistake. But I drop in this Malzahar, put the Shojin, put the Nashers on him. Maybe we could do something there. I really need the anti-heal effect because Malzahar is really, really good with that, obviously. But right now, we are about to do 11 loss. I forget how many times I actually lost this game. Was it 12 losses? Last augment's going to be Prismatic. I don't like Calculated because it gives a lot of AP, and I'm already going to get a lot. So I go with Bulky Buddies. We get a Mordekaiser drop here, thank God. And here I get some more of these Dominator units. So I'm probably hard forcing this a little too much, to be honest with you all. But we do get the Silco. Let's try to swap the team in, get Cassio in, get the Mordekaiser in for sure. And we're missing Mundo, but it's okay. We could find him later. Let's just drop in like probably Black Rose in for now. Oh, we find it in the next roll. I am a lucker dog. So we could swap our whole team. Unfortunately, I really hate Silco 1. So I'm going to keep the items on Malzahar for now, but I probably should have swapped it. If I had infinite time here, I probably would have swapped into something else. And definitely want to build around this Mordekaiser also. Just drop the QSS on him. QSS is a very serviceable item because he just wants to auto attack a lot, and Quicksilver is just a way to prevent yourself from getting CC'd. Obviously going to pick up the Silco in the shop. We already have one on board. Getting the second one doesn't really mean much. And here we take like, we're facing Heimer 2. He's got a Radiant Blue buff, it looks like. It's got to be really good on Heimerdinger, right? I don't really like putting Radiant items on Heimerdinger, but it is what it is sometimes. It's probably pretty good, right? He also has Alawi 2. So this person has both his 2-star 4 costs. And I am sitting here with pretty much nothing. So let's roll down. I need a 2-star of like one of my 4 costs, right? We rolled a lot at level 8. And the reason why we had so much gold this game, some people might watch this and be like, hey, how come I didn't have that much gold? This person just has more gold than me. It's because we are on Warwick Galaxy. Even though we lost a lot of rounds, we did manage to kill some units in most cases, like maybe half the units. So we got some econ that way. That's why we are so rich. But that's one thing to keep in mind whenever you are watching VODs. You have to know if someone is rich in general or rich compared to their lobbies. And sometimes like you could have less gold than what I had and still be the richest person in your game because it wasn't like a econ galaxy or a galaxy that gives like so much loot. So another thing to keep in mind. But we finally end our lose streak here. 12 losses on Warwick Galaxy. I want to know the average placement of someone who does that every single game, like in all the Warwick Galaxies imaginable. I bet Mortdog has this information somewhere, but I'd love to know the average placement that people get from here. So we have this belt. I'm thinking either Morello or building a Warmogs here. It's so unfortunate that there's a spatula on a Malzahar right there. So if anyone's going Autonoma, they just completely luck out. But I end up getting the Silco to get Silco 2. My logic here was I have 2-star Mundo. I just need 2-star Silco. But of course, the Silco shows up in my next shop, so I just wasted an item here. This honestly has to be one of my more unlucky games, I'd say. Because getting like a Morello here or like a Warmogs for Mundo would have been absolutely fantastic. But we're not doing so bad, right? We got 6 Dominator. That's a big power spike. You'll notice in this series, my placements live or die by whether I have Mordekaiser or not. So we get a 1-star Mordekaiser. I can't really complain, and I can only complain about my health. So for the anomaly, I'm so greedy here. I definitely misplay. I should look for something for Mundo or Silco, like that one before, burning stuff every like couple of mana spent. I think that one's really good on Silco, but I'm looking for a Mordekaiser one here for some reason. Like, it's so stupid. Like, don't do what I do here. Like, Mordekaiser is good, don't get me wrong, but I think I should have only gone for this if I am actually going to go for Mord 2-star. But this game, I just don't have that luxury. So, like, I should just put it on Silco. I should have taken the one before on Silco, just so I don't have to roll so much. But here I put it on Mundo, definitely big mistake. Don't do that. Fun fact, another mistake, Scion does not count towards bulky buddies, and I did not know that at this point. This game was like a week ago, but yeah, if you have bulky buddies, you want to keep your units together or like have your units in pairs, but all the summonable stuff, such as like Jace's thing, apparently like Scion's thing, they don't work with bulky buddies, so just keep that in mind if you do get the augment. But we do clean up 3 wins in a row, finally getting on the scoreboard here. Off the Raptors, we get another belt, another rod, get an item anvil, of course, and a couple bit of gold, like 6 gold there, not too bad. So we want to build some items, and obviously it's going to be Mordekaiser items. You really want Edge and Knight on him. We have the QSS. It's kind of like a backup option, but probably Warmogs and Hat here are going to be the go-tos. Maybe a Jeweled Gauntlet. Yeah, Jeweled Gauntlet can work also. Normally, when you play Dominators, you don't really like Rabadon's Death Cap or Archangel Staff. The reason why is because you get all the AP from the Dominator trait, so that's probably why I built that other item. Unfortunately, we also build 2 Ionic Sparks. Not ideal, but honestly, if you look back in the video and look at all the item options we were presented with, I'd either have like too many tank items if I built like Warmog's Hat instead of the jeweled gauntlet, or I have to be stuck with this other thing. But if someone has some like killer item combination, let me know down in the comments below. Also, when you comment on this video, leave a timestamp so I know where to go to see what you're referencing. If not, like, I'll just have no clue because it's like a very, very long video. But we're able to clean up here. This Mord's absolutely doing work. I know he has the anomaly, so he kind of has to, but the QSS is not too shabby as well. I do a side swap, and against Kog'Maw, notice how I second rowed my Mordekaiser here. The reason why I don't want to go top right or top left on the same side against people's Kog'Maws is because Kog'Maw's very high single target damage, so I don't want my Mordekaiser to just get targeted really early and just die. Unfortunately, we still lose this round, but if it's against an AoE champ like a Heimerdinger, I don't mind same siding all the way up front, but if I'm same siding against single target, I like putting him in the second row just so he doesn't die too quickly. So I level up, drop in a Nami here. Like, if I rolled, the only thing I could really hit is Elise 2, Vlad 2, Mord 2, but Mord 2 on 8 is really difficult to do, so I was like, let me just level up, put some bullcrap in. Like, I was just praying that I get something good, maybe like a 6 cost, like who knows. We're facing off against a Silco player or a Corki player. We end up getting the Silco. This person has the LeBlanc, so they're playing a very similar comp. They're more into the Black Rose, and we're more into the Dominator, but I think he has like a bunch. Maybe he has like 4 Dominator, 5 Black Rose. But here, Mordekaiser doing work, of course. Silco probably still showing up decently in the damage chart, and obviously Mundo main tank. I like keeping the Redemption next to my Mordekaiser because Redemption gives damage reduction to people nearby the user, and it also heals the user. But we almost got eaten up by his Silco bugs, but we were able to sneak out of that. And yeah, Mordekaiser top damage, no surprise there. Even as a 1-star, he just does incredible stuff. What item do we want here? We want a Silco item. Probably the Giant Slayer would be the best, or the Hextech Gunblade. What else could we do? Maybe like a Shojin for someone else. Oh, Edge of Night. Yeah, we could Edge of Night our Mordekaiser. That's also pretty viable. That's the option I went for. I have to wonder if maybe I should have built a Silco item, though. Not sure. I guess I still can. I could do like Quicksilver, Edge of Night, Ionic Spark on Mundo, or on Mordekaiser, and then put the Jeweled Gauntlet on my Silco. That probably could be done. So here, I think I want to... I make a mistake. What am I doing? I should have Nico'd someone and then played the Morgana still, but I kind of do it in the wrong order. It's okay. Like, I'm in a rush here. I don't want to have like a garbage board because I also have to do the item swap, so sometimes that happens. But yeah, probably Jeweled Gauntlet on the Silco, but I end up losing a lot of damage on my Mordekaiser when I do this, and since he has the anomaly, it's a little awkward, but like, no one else can use the other Ionic Spark. Like, I could drop it on Blitzcrank or Elise, but are they really going to live that long to do much with it? I don't really think so. But we face off against a Rebel player. He has 1-star Jinx. People who watch a lot of my videos already know 1-star Jinx, not the best. It averages like a 5.0, and guess what this person placed? But here I'm already celebrating. You know the meme where like the guy with the medal in like 3rd place is like so happy, but the guy in 2nd place is mad? I'm like the 3rd place guy, the happiest person ever. But here it's because I top forward, and because I lost 12 rounds on Warwick Galaxy to start off the game, like, yeah, I will take that in a heartbeat. We end up facing the Kog'Maw person again, and this time they have 3-star Kog'Maw, pretty scary stuff. Our Mundo does end up winning, and we, for some reason, blow through his front line and sneak to the back, and so we sneak a win here, because I think before we were stuck on one of his tanks, and that therefore we couldn't get to the Kog'Maw in the back, but we actually yoinked this win out. Off the dragon, we get some gold. By the way, fun fact, the amount of gold you get off dragon is going to be 11 every time. And yeah, that's one thing to kind of keep track of. We get this LeBlanc, we could upgrade our Scion there, and then we need to pop this item, but I'm going to do my roll down first because you could always do the item later on, and nothing much there. We want the Mord item, probably Jeweled Gauntlet, do another swap, and then... Oh, I go Vow? Yeah, you could Vow Elise. I think looking back, I probably should have Jeweled Gauntlet the Mordekaiser and just like waste the Ionic Spark on someone else. Probably would have been fine, but it is what it is. Who do we face here? We face a guy with 3 life. They are Corki and Bessa, and they have a lot of single target damage on our Mord, right? Like, I know we have Edge of Night. We managed to heal back up, and it actually helps him cast faster, but we're not quite able to finish off his Mbessa. Like, Mbessa is such a weird unit. She either lives forever or dies right away, and this time she lives forever, and this fight was so close. I think if we killed her in the first rotation, we actually could have won and gotten a 3rd, but we get a 4th. But I'm happy about this. Did not play that well, and also did not have the best start in terms of RNG, and restart mission was more like a continue button for lose streaking. Now let's go into a more linear game. This time we get the Savika Galaxy. Savika gives you a varied pool of loot at the start of every stage, and it's often pretty critical stuff, either like a bunch of gold, some items, it could be like an artifact anvil, all sorts of wacky stuff. But here we get 2 Renatas. I'm thinking maybe we could do Renata reroll. We have a rod and a sword and a tier, like that's perfect Renata items, right? Honestly, looking back at this game, I should have just taken Sentinel Crest right here and there, or go all that shimmers, maybe put it on a tank, and they'll probably stack up a ton. Like in hindsight, that's probably what I should have done, but I end up going for Slam in here because I just want a fast 8. Like I'm not that familiar with the Renata comp. Like I know how it plays, I know what units are in it, but in terms of actually playing it, I don't play it that often. I only do it from like really OP spots. But here I just go for a fast 8 using Renata as an item holder, but probably a mistake, to be honest. Unlike the previous game, though, we do pick up a win here. And then in the next shop, we do get a Vladimir to kind of set up for that Black Rose board that we see later on. I do go up and make 20 gold, but unfortunately, we're facing off against someone who is level 5 on 2-2. I feel like I always face this player. Anyone else feel the same way? So I do get rocked. One important thing to keep in mind whenever you are playing slamming is, again, make sure you use all your items, like put them on all your units. Just because you're not slamming anyone on the outside doesn't mean you can't do it in TFT. So we're facing off a real Renata player here, but they're all 1-star, so that's pretty nice for us. We're all 1-star also, but I think we have more items than them, so we are able to eke out this win. What augment do they have? That's either like Spirit Link or Glass Cannon. I can't really tell. It is Glass Cannon. Not my favorite Renata augment. I'd rather have something that makes like your team more resilient. I don't think you really need damage from Renata because she takes too long to like do that much damage, to be honest. She's more of like a sustainer. But on this carousel, what do we want? We want to finish this bow item, so either like a red buff would be nice or a Gnasher's Tooth. I think both options are fine. You could even do something like a Static Shiv, but I think my first choice would have been the Gnasher, but don't get that. I think I just get the red buff after that. So while red buff is a very good item, I think Gnashers is a bit better because if I get a lot of belts, I have no tank items right now. So I could build the Gnashers, then let's say I get some belt drops on the neutral round, which very well could happen, right? Because I haven't gotten one yet. And that's not like me trying to be like, oh, because I flipped heads before, I'm going to get tails the next time. So the way items work in TFT, like the item drops on the neutral rounds, is that every time a stage finishes, you get one of each item component added to like your item bag, and then the drops take items from that item bag. So in the first round, if you got dropped like a sword and a tier, you have no more of them left. So in the second round, you'll get one added, but you'll only have one sword and tier, but then you'll have 2 copies of everything else. So you're more likely to get the stuff that you haven't gotten before. The stuff from loot subscription does not affect that. So that's one thing you can learn. So if you didn't know that before, like go ahead, throw down the sub button or go to bunnymuffins.lol/meta to check out all the latest and greatest comps. It is actually the longest standing player run tier list in the game. Like no one else has done it longer than me, because all the people that did it before me have quit, so I'm the only one left. And then, of course, everyone else started it after me. So in one little like thing that happened, you got both a TFT tip and a Bunny Muffins fun fact. So we're facing off against a Rebel player. For some reason, he has Quicksilver, though. I don't know why they have Quicksilver. It synergizes a little bit with the Jeweled Gauntlet because you get the critical strike from Jeweled Gauntlet on your ability. And then you get increased critical strike chance from the stats that Quicksilver gives. I can see the vision, but I don't think the vision's that great. It would work on Mordekaiser, but they're going Rebel, so I don't know about that. I guess if you're facing a lot of other Rebel players, it's pretty useful to have in your backline. That way you don't get stunned. But for me, like, there probably was something better to build for that person. Another fact about slamming is that it does not give you XP on the neutral round. It only does it after player combat, so you don't need to like spam rush your items here and throw them on people. But one thing to note is that Mortdog giveth and Mortdog taketh. In the previous game, he took from us. In this game, he gave to us. We got a Blitzcrank 2-star, stage 3-1. We're going Dominators. So honestly, people do a lot of yelling at him, but we gotta do some thanking as well, and I'm gonna do that right now. Should we level to level 6 here? Definitely, because we could keep 50 gold. You can even level up if you can stay like above 40, even above 30 if you're on a win streak, but we're not on a win streak here. But this level up was pretty much free for us, so just do that. Worst case, we can always sell Vladimir. But we face off against someone, got 2-star, got some items, and they're also level 6, so this level up maybe mattered. We didn't put in anything that great, so maybe we would have won anyways. But for the augment rounds, like, you could go a lot of directions. Like, Bronze for Life is good. Forbidden Magic, I'm not really going into Black Rose that hard. I probably should have just taken Bronze for Life here and go for a Silco Bronze for Life game, but I'm a degenerate. I see Dominators, I just want to go Dominators. That's kind of the title of this video, right? I get to slam another Nashers here, and I also get a second Shojin as well. But a lot of people ask me, they're like, hey, should I focus on 1 or 2 comps? Should I focus on every comp? My approach to this patch so far was see if I get anything insane, such as like Rapid Fire Cannon and then Force Nocturne, or like Automata Emblem and then Force some 6 Automata, whatever it's called, comp. And then other than that, because those don't happen all the time, I either default into Dominators if I get AP items, which I got this game, or I go into 4 Emissary if I get attack damage items. But that's how I've been approaching everything. So I've been trying to like learn as much as I can about Dominators. Like, I skipped the Renata line, which I probably could, if I knew how to play every comp perfectly, like I probably should have gone Renata there. I'm not going to deny that. If I knew how to play Bronze for Life perfectly, probably should have pivoted into that. But we are not here to play perfectly. We're trying to play to the best of our ability. And since I know the Dominator comp, I'm going to keep playing the Dominator comp if I get a start for it. So I get the Mundo there. I like prioritizing the units a lot. It also gives us a tank item because we have, what, like 5 damage items right now. We have 1.5 tank items, or like 1 tank item before we took the cloak. So definitely well worth it there. Probably like a perfect carousel for us. Maybe Mundo with belt would have been perfect, but we're able to win here. I did make a slight mistake last round. I item removed the Blitzcrank to put items on Mundo, but I think the Blitzcrank 2-star is definitely stronger, so a slight mistake there. But despite having 1-star damage dealers, we are able to take this next round, and we go 3-2 in stage 3. Not bad at all. Not the best either, but the most important thing is we have a setup for level 8. If we look at our life total, it's going to be around 50. I know the Cassiopeia is blocking it right now, but I did get a snippet of it right before. In the loot subscription, we get a support item, and we get to roll with like 50 plus gold, like 55 gold. So we're just able to pretty much get a lot of what we want here. We want, with 50 gold, I want at least either Silco or Mundo 2-star. That'd be preferred. And see here, you could already see like the pain of the mistake before. Like, had we not hit that Mundo, we would have had to put our Blitzcrank 2 on the bench, and I definitely don't want to do that. So here, Chalice of Power or Needlessly Big Gem is going to be the choice. I'm probably going to lean towards Big Gem because I don't want to have to position my people in the back line, and Damage Amp is very good for Dominators because I don't have any of that. Put the chain on Mundo, and we have to figure out these items really quickly. I'm just going to drop them on random stuff. Yeah, just put the Rod on Cassio because we're going to remove her later. Put them on Silco, but I don't want Morello because we already have red buff. I don't want Sunfire for the same reason. So the only item we could really build here is Crown Guard. I do think there are better items though, so don't really need Sponging here. Probably don't want Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider is so bad, man. You need to have like 4 people die for it to be worth it, in my opinion. It breaks even at 3, but I don't think that's worth it because you don't get the items right away. But here we get Dominator Crown, so that's really nice. Skip Bronze for Life again because now it's too late. But had we taken it before, like obviously if you have 1 Bronze for Life, you get the second one. I don't even know if that's possible. Maybe they lock each other out. But now I'm going to reposition my items, drop them onto Silco. I actually like keeping the anti-heal item on Ziggs. I think he's a better applier of red buff and Morello than Silco. I don't actually think Silco does it that well. But I'm going to drop the Dominator spat on the Elise for now. Generally, I want to put it on a legendary later, most likely LeBlanc. I have the Protector's Vow for her that I got from the Dominator emblem or Dominator crown, so that's like one of her best items. Just drop it on her, pretty easy stuff. But I probably want to move the Jeweled Gauntlet over onto Silco. But one thing I've noticed, I'm not sure if I mentioned this yet already, but Ziggs 2 better than Silco 1, so that is one thing to keep in mind. By the way, I completely messed up on the health before. I'm at 72 low health, not 50 health. So arguably, not even arguably, I don't think I should roll here. With Slammin', I could realistically go for level 9, and like normally when you go for like level 9 versus level 8, you have to ask yourself, like, do you think you can win the game? If you can, go level 9. If not, stay level 8. But this is a boosted monkey play for me because like I have the Mundo 2. Zig's 2-star in the back is so stable. Like I did not need to roll down there. The only thing I could have possibly hit is like that changes my board is like Silco 2. Like the Casio, does she really matter? I mean, she matters a little bit, but not that much. And like Elise 2, again, like she's going to cast with these items. So I don't really need her 2-star. Like, yeah, it's helpful because she has more health and more stats and stuff. But like, was it worth losing like 20 to 30 gold over? Probably not. I probably could have just waited to level 9, especially with Slam. And it's going to be really easy to get there. So medium-sized mistake from me, I'd say. Like, not the end of the world, but not the start of it either. And when I have 72 life, like, who cares, right? All right, let's get the glove. Let's get Steadfast Heart. I'd rather have Bramble. I like the full resistance combo on Mundo. It's not bad. It's pretty decent because you're able to get the shield from Dominators, so all the resistances kind of make more value out of that shield. So it's pretty nice, but like Warmogs is also nice. Pretty much just like any tank item's good on Mundo, like all like full tank items, not any of the utility stuff. The only utility tank item I'd put on Mundo is maybe like a Redemption because it heals him a lot if he has a lot of HP, but that's more so in like the Bruiser build. In Dominators, I don't care about it as much, but here, are we able to squeak out this win against Renata? No, we are not. Win streak is over. I guess kind of like that might be a rationale to roll before, but it's not that great. Some people really like kill streak on Silco. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I think his damage is a bit too spread out, so I prefer like damage amp ones on him, but if you get it on your first roll, like you could take it. I probably should have in hindsight. The next ones aren't like really that great for me. Into the Unknown, I already have my board, so I don't need to do that. Attack speed, I don't need. I really just like getting damage amp or a tank one. This time I get a tank one from Mundo. This one isn't the best one, but it's okay. It's pretty usable. Like for tank anomalies, I just take the first one I see. And then I do another boosted monkey play of rolling on the stage before carousel. I get lucked out because of it, but it is complete garbage play. Had I been like doing a coaching video and watched someone do this, I'd probably like say, don't do that, like you're at high health, and I made the same mistake. Like we're all human, right? I'm allowed to make mistakes, you're allowed to make mistakes, and my Mundo was allowed to make a mistake here because he just died for free before even casting when he has 3 items. Absolutely incredible stuff, and I get punished because of that because my Mundo decided to be a complete moron. But yeah, just imagine we didn't roll before and we had Silco 1-star. We'd have the same amount of life we have now, but let's pretend we lost 4-3 too, right? Like maybe we'd have like 40 health. We'd have like 90 or like 100 gold at this point, right? Like something ridiculous. Maybe not 100, but maybe like 90, 80 gold. We could have very easily reached level 9 and just been giga chilling. So here I want Static Shiv. Wait, what am I doing? Wait, what? Okay, don't ask why I did that, but I ended up getting an Ionic Spark. In hindsight, it's probably build Static Shiv or like reforge the belt first, see what happens. Maybe build a Mordekaiser item if I'm able to. But I definitely want Static Shiv, right? Because I have all magic damage and I have no magic penetration yet. So what am I doing? Complete monkey play, but I got bailed out because I got an Ionic Spark. Granted, Ionic Spark Elise isn't that great because she dies too quickly, as you saw here. She's just 1-star, and even if she's 2-star, she jumps into the enemy backline and dies. It's still nice to have the effect in the early part of the game, but it's by no means like ideal. But you could drop it on Mordekaiser. Like both of Elise's items can be put on Mordekaiser. Unlike a 1-star Mordekaiser, I actually think Protector's Vow is very underrated on him. The reason why I like it is because it helps him cast really quickly, and it gets him to deal a bunch of damage before he dies, and 1-star Mordekaiser does end up dying a bunch. But we go up to level 9 here. Like again, we wasted so much gold before. We could have been chilling with much more gold and then probably hit the Silco here anyways, but be at like maybe 30 life or something, like at worst 25, right? But we do end up getting Mundo, so that's pretty nice. We could drop the Ionic and Vow on him. Dominator on the Swain. It's better on Elise, but the thing is, like, I want it on LeBlanc later, and I could always sell this Swain, whereas I'm out of item removers for the Elise, so that's kind of why I waited like that. But let's check out this Mordekaiser. Like, yeah, he gets pretty decent effect there. Attacking very slowly. This is like the slowest attacking Mordekaiser I've ever seen in my life, and that's because he doesn't have a Gnasher's Tooth or an Edge of Night to give him that little extra boost, which He definitely does need if you want him to carry, but luckily for me, he's not like my main carry this game. It's going to be Silco and Mundo. Doesn't mean that can't change later on, though, because I should just pick up this Mordekaiser and then reforge the Runons because I have a reforger, but I end up taking Edge of Night. That's tough. What would you all take here? I'm going to spoil a lot of the video. Whenever I get Edge of Night Mordekaiser, with Mordekaiser 2, I got first place in all of them. So we got to ask ourselves, what's better? 1-star Mordekaiser with Edge of Night or a 2-star Mordekaiser without Edge of Night? I might be leaning towards the 1-star Mordekaiser. I'm not going to deny that here. I did perform the data check, and obviously the 2-star Mordekaiser without the Edge of Night does better. It's like 2.73 versus the Mordekaiser with an Edge of Night at 1-star, which is 4.35. But like, I mean, it's hard to compare 1-star Legendary versus 2-star Legendary, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like whenever I don't have Edge of Night, it feels so bad. And maybe the games where the Mordekaiser 2-star did not have Edge of Night, they had like Quicksilver or something like that. Like, you never know. Like, I feel like you always just need one of those items on Mordekaiser. It just activates him so much. It's also so forgiving. Like, you don't even have to worry about positioning your Mordekaiser when you have Edge of Night. It's like, it's so easy that Caveman can do it, right? But if you do like full damage build, like, yeah, he's going to dish out tons of deeps, but you definitely may have some games where you make a few mistakes here and there and you misposition him, he gets one tapped, or you like lose a 50-50 swap, just dies without doing too much. I'm not saying it happens all the time, but it does happen, and like with the Edge of Night, you could just act like a complete idiot and you'll be fine. Here we win the lotto. We get Banshee's Veil or Knight's Vow. Like, lean in towards Banshee's Veil. Mordekaiser has built-in Omnivamp already, so you don't need that from Knight's Vow, so just give him the QSS. We talked about how important that is too. Unlucky here, we don't get that great of an item for him. If we did have unlimited removers, I'd probably take the Spear of Shojin, do double Shojin Nashers on Silco, and then put the Jeweled Gauntlet on the Mordekaiser. But we don't have that luxury here, so I'm just going to get the other thing for my Mord, the Titans, and also put the Protector's Vow on Elise. You could also go Shojin on LeBlanc. That's probably perfectly fine. Probably not too much of a difference there. No one's gonna ding you for that, you know? We face off against a Family Guy. I position my Mordekaiser towards the center. That way he doesn't get one tapped or focused down hard by the Draven and Violet, but we still lose. He still also dies relatively early. We definitely need the 2-star to beat this player. One thing to keep in mind, whenever you are doing a melee carry, it could be Nocturne, Violet, whoever, Camille. Again, if you're on the same side as someone, it's only okay if they are AoE. If they're single target, like, you have to be careful. Your person better be able to sustain everything. But typically, most people like putting their Mords on the edge, and we do get the Mord 2 here, so we get Mord 2 Edge of Night. We're going to destroy that family player. We're going to break up the family, make them live in a broken home because they're not going to place first place in this TFT match. No way. No, sir. All right, so we have this Banshees on our Mord. We have Edge of Night, Titan's Resolve. What else can we do here? Not much. The only thing I'm really missing is, like, I have a Cassio 1. I sold my old Cassio 2 to put these sick items on my LeBlanc. This is, like, probably one of the best in slot LeBlancs I've seen in a while. Again, I explained this before. I don't like Morello on Silco, so I put it on other units. And LeBlanc is great because, look, she just applies it to, like, 4 people, 5 people. It's pretty solid. That's good enough, right? Like, in the late game, people have, like, 10 units typically. Like, they have 8 to 9 units plus, like, 1 or 2 dummies or like Jace things or whatever, so it hits enough stuff. What do we even want on this carousel? Probably the Nashers. I wish I had more item removers because then we could best in slot our Mord again, but I just drop it on Cassio. We could sell her and then like swap the items later if we see it, but we're facing off the Family Guy again, positioning my Mord in the middle. Some people might, like, again, put it on the edge and die to the Draven potentially. Like, maybe I should just set up on the other side, but I don't want my Mord to walk so much anyways, and I want my Mundo main tanking his Violet and Draven, and like the fights are not even close anymore. I'll fast forward a bit. After the dragon, I get a new selection of items. I'm gonna get probably the Nashers on him, right? I mean, Hat and Hand of Justice also good. What am I doing? Why did I reach level 10, drop in a Malzahar? Sure, why not? Why did I not get the... Should I just play it? Yeah, screw it, play another Mord. Why did I not get the Nashor's Tooth? I'm so confused. Okay, I'm just playing like a moron this game. Luckily, we win. My Mordekaiser, my second one sitting in the back with a Spark, sure. I don't even think Spark's reaching most units, but it doesn't matter. We're just too strong at this point. And even if we lost this round, we had another round to play with probably, unless we lost by like a bunch of units. Typically in stage 7 you lose like 25 life or something like that, but if we take like a couple unit loss, like we'll probably have another life, but we end up getting a win there. More 2, Edge of Night, GG. Next game we start out 2 Aurelias. I have the classic Sentinel start. Really easy to go into some sort of like Sentinel Visionary build with that, but for some reason this game I did not pick up the Morganas. I think I was down bad for the Violet because I love forcing family. But unfortunately, I have no Violets. I only have one of them, so I'm just going to take power up and go for a loss streak here. So when I take this, I typically don't level up, and then I'm going to sell for interest. That way we make 10 gold. And then next round, we get an Aurelia 2-star plus the Vex, which is really nice. Let's scout around a bit. So Rebel player, Pandora's Bench family, another Pandora's Bench, Tristana reroll maybe, AP player, another AP player, and this person, maybe AP. We have Combat Medic Steb. So a lot of AP players, so it's going to be a little tough. That's why I did not slam the Shojin yet, because we might have a chance of going something else, but we do see the Ziggs here, so I'm like, all right, let me try to go for this Dominator bullcrap again. Next fight, we face off against someone doing something very similar to us, but they have items, so they end up winning this round. First pick on Carousel, I think I'm going to go for the Rod. Maybe we could do some Shojin Morello stuff. It's always just a good combo, right? Like, you can never go wrong if you build that. And then now, since I'm more familiar with what items I'm playing, I'm just going to build the Shojin plus Morello here and call it a day. Unfortunately, even though we're level 4 versus level 4, they still end up pulling out the win when we built items, but it's okay because we could just go for full lose streak here and be chilling. Next shop, we see a Vex. I definitely should have scouted before I bought that. So if I do end up winning this round, it's going to be pretty punishing because I do want to go on a 5 loss streak. But luckily we face someone who's pretty strong and we end up taking the L. But you always need to check. That's just laziness by me. By not checking, we easily could have lost a placement there. But here we get a bow and a Negatron. We also get another bow. So unlucky because we already have the Morello. Bows are not really that great in this comp. It can only build Red Buff and Nashers. Static Shiv and Giant Slayer are buildable as well. I prefer Ionic, just put it on some of the tanks, but I really only like Static Shiv if I have LeBlanc. But here we get the Ionic, and then just have to kill these bows somehow. We end up facing up against another Black Rose player, but they actually have Black Rose while we have the Sentinels. And here I'm like thinking, should I go for a different comp? You could pivot into Rebels from this spot, but there was another Rebel player with Rebel Spat. So unless I could reach level 9, which isn't likely because I'm lowest health in the game, or like second lowest health, it's going to be hard to get to level 9. But yeah, don't want those, don't want Forge. Like here, just go Domination, right? Like I am going Dominators after all. I don't really like Domination that much, but it's not bad. But right now we only have 3 Dominators. Definitely want to get that 4th one. You can only get that with the 4 cost, so we're not going to get it for a while. So that's why the emblem's so useful, because if I had the emblem, I just have 4 right now, and it's easy to get because it's a 2 cost and 2 3 costs. Whereas getting the 4th one, you need a 4 cost, so you can't really get that till like level 8. Sometimes you could get it on 7, but it doesn't happen very often. So most games, like reliably, it's going to be 8. And we get such a bad loss here. We should have won this one. The health totals were so close. In this next shop, or next turn, we don't see much in our shop. And against this other player, we do squeeze out the win here, which is nice because they are also going for the same comp or similar comp as us, but maybe they're leaning more into Rebels. Always going to be dangerous whenever you play Dominators when there are a lot of other AP players, because you just don't know what direction they're going to go in. They could contest you, or they could go Heimerdinger, they could go Zoe. You just don't know all the time. So unfortunately on that carousel, no belts, but we do get the powder encounter here. The monkey is here. Unfortunately, I am on your screen, but without a camera, and it gives everyone 25 gold. Very nice. So just level up here, call it a day. We do end up winning the next round, so that's pretty nice. And then we get some units we want in the next shop. Like this Ziggs 2 is absolutely huge. Singe, pretty nice because we have some Sentinels out right now, and we have our Black Rose on our bench. We end up winning the next round. On the neutrals, we get a glove, we get a chain, tier, bit of gold, got a Blitzcrank, pretty nice stuff. Items are a bit awkward. We couldn't get a belt to save our lives. Not fat enough, I guess. But we do get the Mundo, which is nice on the roll down. Blitz 2, nice. We get Vlad if we want, and Garen if we want. Probably sell some of the, what's it called? The Sentinels. I should play this Garen over this Rel, but I think I do it too slow. For items, this Chain Vest is probably the most important piece, right? Because we could build so many tank items with it. I'm guessing it could be Vow on Elise. It could also be Steadfast Heart. We could also do a Jeweled Gauntlet on one of our backliners. Like, all options work, I think. I opted to go for the Jeweled Gauntlet plus the Protector's Vow, but if you went into different directions with like the Steadfast Heart, it's probably going to be fine too. The real issue is just like no bow, or like too many bows. And I already have Ionic Spark, so Shiv is useless here. Not useless, but like less value. So I really just need belts because it's going to be so hard to play without that. After seeing these augment choices, I'm very disappointed, frankly, but go Pandora's items probably. Pandora's is so bad on stage 4, but what can I do? Like, I could also go for Piercing Lotus. I think I do actually end up taking Piercing Lotus. I know I already have like a Jeweled Gauntlet on my bench, but I didn't actually build it yet, but maybe it was Pandora's because these bows are just so bad, and I could get like maybe Warmogs for my front line. That'd be a pretty nice build too, but that probably was a mistake from me. Like, I have so many unbuilt components. If I'm not building an item, I have to take Pandora's, right? Even if I hate it on stage 4. Here we're facing off another Dominator player. They have Silco, but we do have the Mundo too, so we got that going for us. How much life do they have? They're a little bit lower than us, so this game's going to be a little annoying because we are contested, and that Sunfire Cape's doing a lot of work against us, and we do end up... do we win this round? I can't tell with Silco's little bugs, but we end up losing, so unfortunate there. I end up doing another roll down. I'm not sure if I actually should have done this. Like, the only pairs I have are Elise and Cassio, and there is a decent chance to hit them, but I could also hit a Silco 1, but Silco 1 doesn't actually help me. I do luck out and get an Elise 2-star, and I also still make 10 gold, so it's not the end of the world, but Elise just isn't like that critical of a unit to 2-star. Like, yeah, it's nice because she has like higher health pool. She'll probably get to do a little more after she does her stun. Dare I say even get a second stun in some games, but not against this player. They have Jinx already, but I get a pretty bad carousel. There is a belt, but it's on a 1 cost. That's not what you want, right? But I end up taking the Silco. I think in hindsight, it's definitely a mistake. Probably should have just taken the belt, because if not, like, we just have so many unbuilt components, and this tier doesn't help us finish these things either. I end up building Archangel. It's not that great of an item in Dominators. It's not horrible though. But you definitely prefer other things. But since I have Piercing Lotus, I'm allowed to kind of have one throwaway item. So I do also need to just build whatever I can. So there's that too. But we get rocked here. Combat Medic Steb just stebbed us, I guess. Let's take a pop quiz. What do we want from this anomaly? For me, I think it's something for Mundo, because we have a lot of damage items, and Mundos are 2-star. So I'm actually going to take this dual wielding, get 2 items that fit his role, because we just don't have any of his items right now. And we just get another Vow, which I'm going to put on Elise, and we also get a Stone Plate. So not bad, not the greatest. I would have preferred seeing like a Warmogs or like a Bramble Declaw, something like that. But at least we get a LeBlanc here. So we face off against a Rebel player. This one is Aurelia-ing, like the Blade Striker Aurelia thing, where she jumps around and does like the League of Legends Aurelia-ing thing. Kind of annoying because she's able to access my backline, and my backline, they want to stack really badly because that's what Dominators do. They stack every time they cast, they gain AP, and she's just skipping over my Mundo. So we're not able to get enough damage to kind of kill everything here, so we end up taking a loss even though it's a ghost round, which is completely horrible. Ghosts are weaker than real boards, so if you lose that round, it's like a waste, you know? So we do get a Nashor's there. Let's see what else we get. I want another tank item on Mundo, and we don't really get that here, so that's really unfortunate. I think it's going to be Nashor's plus a Thieves' Gloves on someone. Maybe drop it on Blitzcrank. Like, it's just so many offensive items, and thank God I took that anomaly. If not, I would have had nothing for my Mundo, right? It's just really, really unfortunate. I do take too long deciding my items because I was like crying when I was picking it, so I am late on this roll down, not able to roll down to 0. Potentially I could have gotten LeBlanc 2, maybe a Mordekaiser 1, but I'm just too slow for that. Here we're facing off against what looks like a Rebel player. They don't have Jinx yet, so we hopefully get a freebie game here. They do have Rebel Spat and a Rumble, so that's a little annoying, but the main key to Rebel comms, as everyone knows, because you all watch my tier list every single Friday, of course, right? I've said it so many times, Jinx is a key part, but we lose because we have Silco 1, I guess, and we're also only 4 Dominators. So this game's pretty screwed, right? Get Cassio 2 there, and if I finish my roll down, like, maybe I could have found something to play against him and beat him and then save myself like 10 crucial life. Like, yeah, we do end up hitting the LeBlanc with some gold to spare, so yeah, we probably griefed our game, or at least one placement, by not doing our roll down fast enough. And it's tricky, you know, sometimes you just aren't able to do it. But here I want to definitely itemize my Silco over the LeBlanc, because unlike last game where we had Dominator emblem, like LeBlanc doesn't really have many buffs. She has 2 Sorcerer, and Black Rose doesn't do anything for her, right? So just itemize your Silco here. He's going to be the main carry, and LeBlanc going to be a very solid support unit. The type of champion that works really well with others, but if she's the sole carry, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, because the way she works is when one of the units she chains takes damage, you split that damage as a percentage to other people as true damage. So it kind of helps more if you have like her as a secondary carry or as like a support unit to your main damage dealer. That's what I found, at least. Could the tooltip be lying to me? It could be, but if I am to believe it, then that's the case. So here we're facing off against the Aurelia person again. Really unfortunate, because again, they just counter us. They just jump to our backline, skip over our Mundo, who normally is tanky, but this game is not that tanky. But we are able to kill a lot of his units before this Aurelia gets to our Silco. So if Silco casted one more time, maybe it's able to finish this off, but I actually forget what happens here. We get a nice stun up, but I think this Aurelia is going to sustain all the way back up, right? So we end up taking a loss there. We're probably going to be at 1 life after this. Yeah, exactly 1. So that's pretty lucky. I'm going to grab the Warmogs here. No Mundo or no Mordekaiser on Carousel, but we do get a Mundo item, so that's pretty nice. Since I'm 1 life, I'm going to roll to 0 here. We do end up hitting this Mordekaiser, so I definitely need to squeeze it in. Sell the Scar, drop in Mordekaiser, and drop in this, what's it called, Ziggs. No items for Mord, but we are able to put a Thieves' Gloves on him, so it's not the end of the world, but not the best. We face off against the other Dominator player. They also have Mordekaiser, but they also have Silco 1, so I think we are able to squeeze this one out. Are we able to kill them, though, or are they going to live with 1 life as well? We end up killing them. Nice. It's always good to outplace the other person contesting you. It's one of the best feelings in TFT, honestly. It arguably feels better than a first place, but here we're facing off against Steb. Steb demolished us before. This guy has 50 gold also, so we ended up taking a 6. What went wrong this game? Our items were pretty bad. I probably hard forced this too much. Probably could have went in different directions with Visionaries and maybe a Heimerdinger build. Got a late Mordekaiser. It is what it is. I think I should have taken Pandora's items on stage 4 just to get rid of the bows, but not the most ideal game here, but you can't win them all, especially when I'm playing this comp this often. Now let's go into game number 4 of Mordekaiser Simulator. We are going to start off the game with an Aurelia 2. Again, my favorite openers for this is going to be the Visionary Sentinel. There are no 1-cost Dominators, so you can't really do a Dominator start, if that makes sense. And after getting a couple of items, you got some buildable stuff here. I have half a Shojin and an Ionic Spark. We are introduced with a Silver Augment. If this were late game, I'd like Glass Cannon here, but it's not late game, so I'm going to go with Delayed Start. Glass Cannon works really well if you build a Hextech Gunblade, which I do have, so I easily could have taken that. You could argue that Delayed Start might have been not that great because I already did have a 2-star unit. But personally for me, I really like Delayed Start because it's essentially just giving you 12 gold with some upgrades, so it's like I can't really complain about that, even if they don't have synergies. I personally just think it's one of the better augments value-wise, period, because you are guaranteed not to go on a full lose streak pretty much, because it's hard to lose everything if you have like full upgraded board, again, even with no synergies. You could pretend I have like a board with 1 2-star and like 3 1-stars with like 2 Sentinel or something like that, you know? It's kind of like a built different board. However, like you'd also just get a lot of gold, worst case scenario. I think it's never bad. But as you can see, I look at the team planner, switch up my team to the Dominator one, and I scout around a little bit. It seems to be like maybe 1 or 2 AP players, it looks like. But again, there's so many AP comps that not all of them are guaranteed to be contesting me. But in this game, we do end up getting contested by like 1.5 players, so we will get a decent look into how to deal with that. I'll grab a tier off Carousel, no brainer. We just get a Shojin. Unfortunately, we only get 1 gold for it because it was on a Violet, but you really need like just 1 Shojin, and sometimes getting tiers is impossible. There are games where you just get none of them, and if you get too many tiers, you always can make some sort of use for them. We talked about this before a bit, but like you could build multiple Shojins, you could build a Redemption, Protector's Vow, many items like Hand of Justice, Mordekaiser. It's just really not a big deal if you don't get many copies of tiers, but if you get none, then you are pretty screwed because you do need a mana item whenever you play this, at least one of them. Like I think worst case scenario, just 1 Spear Shojin on your Silco and you'll be fine. But we end up going 2 and 3 in the stage 2, which isn't ideal, but not the end of the world either. Normally you do better, but I didn't get any synergies on my random 1-star units. Like if you get just one of them, which does happen every now and then, it's just so much easier, but it is what it is. We get decent items here. We get either a Sunfire Cape or a Gnasher's Tooth. It's actually tough to decide which one's best between these. I think if you want to win now, Sunfire Cape's going to be better. If you want to win later, then Gnasher's Tooth is going to be better. Unfortunately, we see this player going Experiment, so they have their Mundo, so we're going to be contested on that a little bit. The reason why I don't like Sunfire as much, even though I do think it's better for the now, if I was win streaking, I'd for sure build the Sunfire, but if I build the Sunfire, I get an anti-heal effect, and then I have a leftover bow. So you have to ask yourself, what can I build with the leftover bow? I can't build Static Shiv because I have the Ionic Spark already. So normally I build a red buff with it, but if I have Sunfire Cape, then it's kind of redundant. So the only item it can build is pretty much Gnasher's or Giant Slayer. You could go Titan's Resolve. It's not my favorite. I don't think it's that good on Mordekaiser, but it's not bad. But here, pretty easy choice here. We just reroll everything, take Mana Flow. But sometimes items are a bit tricky, and you don't always build for the immediate board sometimes because I wanted to manage my items later on. Because don't get me wrong, bows are good, it's just not good if you already have a Sunfire Cape. Sometimes I do use Kog'Maw as an item holder. He uses Shojin and Gnasher's really, really well. But we get rocked here because we don't really have that great of a front line, not too many synergies active. But we do pick up a Rel in the next shop, so we get to 4 Sentinel. We end up facing a similarly built comp. Instead of 4 Sentinel, they have 4 Watcher, and then they have a 2-star Tristana in the back while we have a 1-star Kog'Maw. So this round's looking like a loss as well. So we are in last place, not the best looking game. I wish we did have like a bit more HP, but the good thing is we do have a lot of gold. We have 52 right now, and we also pre-leveled a bunch. So here I want to grab that Silco. I need tank items anyways, and I have like pretty much perfect items for Silco, so that's a great pickup right there. So you may have realized it's kind of a trade-off, right? Like in the first carousel, I took the 1-cost Violet, and like, yeah, I lose gold, but I did get the item I really needed. It allowed me to get the perfect unit on this carousel, because had I needed a tier on this carousel, I might have had to skip out on the Silco, to be honest with you all. But I am going to slam the Sunfire Cape now because we don't have the bow component anymore, so we're not going to get too many bows. So Sunfire perfectly fine to build at this point. But here we are facing off against Nami 2. He's got a solid board, but we got our 4-cost 1-star. He's not the best 4-cost 1-star, but he does a decent enough job, enough to at least win this round. I did forget to mention before, but this is Warwick's Galaxy. That's why we do see a bunch of loot dropping for both players, and that is part of the reason why every player is so rich in this game. Here we're facing a Corki. Unlucky because like Corki with IE Last Whisper is absolutely devastating. It kind of negates our Silco advantage because that's what we had over the people in the previous rounds. But we are able to get a couple of kills here. They get a chest off us, unfortunate. But at least we don't take like a super duper loss. It still hurts pretty hard, but 4 units isn't the worst thing in the world. From the neutral round, we get a Negatron, we get a bit of gold, and we get a tier and a chain. So we could finish off our tank items with that pretty easily. We could also build another adaptive helm for another mana item. But here we definitely need to level 8, do our roll down first. So let's focus on that. We need Mundo, we need Ziggs, we need Mordekaiser, we need some Black Roses. So we get some of them. Ideally would have liked to see like a Silco 2 because we had a Silco before already, but we just happen to be pairs of everything. This is the worst case ever, but we were contested this game, so I feel like I had to do the roll down. If not, the other player would have found everything before me. But let's put the tank items on Mundo. I could put the Vow on Elise or just build the Gargoyle Stoneplate. Both work, to be honest. Tier we could save for pretty much anything else. Like second Shojin's really good. I have a lot of holders for that. But definitely want to pick this Silco up. Let's see what we should sell. Definitely the Lux. We might get enough gold because it's Warwick Galaxy. I swear everyone gets chests off of me. Have I gotten a single chest this game yet? I don't think so from watching most of the fights, but sometimes it really just does feel like that. We're facing against a lone hero player, so they just get to have a free win against us, but it's only a 1-unit loss, so I'm not even that mad. So a lot of people complain about this comp, but it's not the worst thing in the world because, like, again, you only take a 1-unit loss. It is annoying, but in the late game, it does get outscaled. For augments, if I wasn't such a degenerate, I would just take Bronze for life. Blinding Speed, don't really need the Rage Blade that much, so I think I'm going to pass on that. Wand Overflow is okay, but maybe I should have taken Immovable Object here. I actually think that one does work out a bit better than Wand Overflow. I don't think it matters that much, but I don't really like Wand Overflow in this comp. I honestly don't know why I took it. It's probably just like me dealing with the learning curve of trying to practice this comp a bit more. But I build Double Hat and Archangels on my Silco and Mordekaiser. Like, see, these items don't really help me out that much. Like, I already get so much AP from Dominators. It's like, just don't need all these rods, you know? Like, probably the resistances would have helped me a bit more. But at least my Mordekaiser is slapping a little bit, you know? Like, even though AP isn't that needed, it still definitely helps out your damage a bunch. I just would kind of prefer something else. So here we see a bunch of legendaries. I'm gonna roll, because we have like 3 or 4 pairs on our bench, so rolling to 10 probably is fine. That's what I'm going to do here. I'm not the biggest fan of rolling to 0, but it is Warwick's Galaxy, so 0 isn't as bad as it normally is. But I just go to 10. If I positioned better here, maybe my Mord could have lived a bit longer, and instead he kind of just died to the Corki. But we do end up hitting Silco 2 in the roll down, but we do still have Cassio, Mordekaiser, and Blitz pair. Off the carousel, I think I make a mistake here. I think I should have taken the Chain Vest and try to build an Edge of Night. Instead, I opt for the Glove to try to build some sort of damage item for my team. We do get a second Mordekaiser here, which is really nice, but we are a bit low health. Also get a lesser duplicator from the little shop there, so I do roll a bit, try to finish all my other units, get the LeBlanc in. She definitely is like a really needed champion. And then I roll down a bit more, get Cassio 2, which allows me to Nico this Ziggs, which is really nice. We face off against a Heimerdinger here. By the way, it could be argued that I should have taken a Negatron Cloak off the last carousel, because there are a bunch of ability power players. So whenever there are a lot of like one type of damage in a certain lobby, like it's always a good idea to go for either a Bramble Vest or a Dragon Claw, depending on what they are. But it is now time for the anomaly. I can't be too greedy, so comeback story, more than enough. Damage amp is really good. It's either Mordekaiser or Silco. If you're greedy, do Mordekaiser. If you're feeling a little safe, go Silco. Both are probably fine here. Like, it just depends if I hit Mordekaiser 2-star or not to make my decision correct, right? But I opt to go for the Silco here. I'm not quite sure what this person's playing, but he does have a bunch of upgrades on his board. It seems like he's trying to go for some sort of Sentinel Corki comp, but for some reason it has like Echo and Darius in it. Not too familiar with this comp, to be honest with you all, but yeah, another person gets a chest off me. A little unlucky, but we are able to win this round. Oh, it looks like they're going some form of Conqueror. I think they're trying to go for emissaries, but didn't hit all the emissaries yet. Yeah, sometimes you get stuck in emissary jail. That's the unfortunate part about that comp. But we get some gold. We get a belt also. And here I just go for a Quicksilver for my Mordekaiser, just to get him a bit more damage. At this point, I decide to go for level 9. I'm not sure if this is the correct decision, because I have to wait like one turn to get to level 9, and then I don't have a unit to put in. And if I wait until stage 5-5, where I can both level up and roll, that's like 3 rounds of risking my life out there. And at 38 life, 3 rounds, not the best, right? But we are able to squeeze out a win in this round, which makes it a lot easier. But after seeing a Swain here, which is a unit I can put in, I do decide to level up. It's going to give me Form Swapper, Sorcerer, and Conqueror, which is all pretty nice. Had I not seen the Swain, I probably would have waited a little longer, because like rolling definitely does feel a lot better. But like I could always get the gold back from killing more units and winning rounds, right? They were facing off against Corki and Bessa. Again, I would have played this comp a lot more. I just never got the openers for it. I kept getting AP openers. But what really sucks here is that my 2 frontline units that I need to rely on the most, Mordekaiser and Mundo, are just struggling a little bit. But we do get an extra item there. That's super nice. Get a tier. So we just get a free redemption, which like I'm very open for, right? Here we got a bunch of pairs. So I did end up rolling to 0. Don't hit. Other people are playing Mundo. Like I think there are 3 other Mundo players this game, at least 2 of them. And everyone's playing Elise. I think there were 5 Elise players this game. No, 6 when I looked at the match history. So we're just never hitting Elise. Mord, maybe we could hit. We are level 9, so you could hit it in the next roll, and then your team becomes infinitely better. You also have to remember everyone else is spending their gold, so you kind of need whatever you can get. So someone took the Edge and Knight, unlucky. Here, it doesn't really matter what item you take. I think I end up taking the Archangel here, but maybe Bloodthirster would have been fine. But all these items are kind of highly mediocre for me. Archangels is good on LeBlanc, but like LeBlanc doesn't do that much, so I don't really care that much about her. Would have much preferred to see like either a Mordekaiser or a Mundo just take the unit. Maybe get a better item for Mordekaiser, such as Gnasher's Tooth or Edge of Night. maybe get a Protector's Vow for Elise, things like that, or a mana item for my LeBlanc. Because LeBlanc, I care more about getting her to cast. That way, I get the little true damage thing that she does to the units that get chained. It's a really nice combo. Wow, the Lux just targeted my Mordekaiser and just one-tapped him as soon as he was about to go off. This is an annoying part about this comp. You don't have many stuns, and when that happens, Lux just eats you alive. One other way to deal with this a little bit is by playing a Morgana. Morgana reduces enemy shielding, but then you also have to run a Morgana, so it is what it is. But losing the Lux isn't the end of the world. Like, we went from 38 to 27 life in stage 5 after a loss. It's always just going to be a 1-unit loss unless your team is absolute garbage, so it's not even that big of a deal. We take a 3-unit loss here, so we are now at 14 life. That is a bigger deal, especially since we lost to the person with 6 life. But lucky for us, the 6th place player was playing 3 copies of Mundo, and since they are knocked out, we are able to get a Mundo 2-star. None of these items are that enticing. I just go for mana item for LeBlanc here, but if you went Jeweled Gauntlet, that probably would have been fine too, and then swap over one of the items off of Silco or Mordekaiser and put the Jeweled Gauntlet on them, probably would have been fine too. Here we're facing off a Sniper player, and they also have the Mundo. They have Twitch in the back, great items on him. Caitlyn, great items on her, but she's 1-star, so kind of like a tied board, I'd say. Like, he has a 2-star Garen, we have the 2-star Mundo, but we also do have this LeBlanc in the backline. But LeBlanc isn't like that great of a carry because we're not exactly building around her, right? Like, we're going Dominators, so we have to rely on our Dominators to carry. But we do get a 2-star Mordekaiser here, absolutely clutch. But we did roll a lot of gold at level 9. But I do a little bit of late game scouting, swap my units over to the other side, and then I'm able to kind of walk to this person's backline while avoiding a bunch of their damage, which is pretty nice. I don't get the redemption swap in time, but it's okay. But you'll see in this fight, Mordekaiser is able to knock out some of the units in the front and then go to the back and smash people. So really nice stuff. I probably would have won anyways. Like, his tank line was pretty much dead by the time I got there, but we get a bunch of gold there and a nice win. Since I'm 14 life, I'm just going to donkey roll every turn to get at least 2-star or maybe like a Swain 2, maybe get something even better than Swain, but without much luck. The lone hero Lux player got to get to level 10, which is absolutely nuts, but we should take a small loss here. And we're starting to face the reality of Mordekaiser having no Edge of Night. And it's just like, yeah, I feel like there's a humongous difference with and without it. Just because it gives him an extra life, essentially, right? And gives him a bunch of attack speed. I think attack speed is one of his most important stats, if not the most important. But live with 1 life here. The other person lived. I do get a Swain in my next shop, so I can duplicate that. And I got a Giant Slayer off of Carousel. Giant Slayer is just always a good late game item because it just does the most damage. Everyone just reaches the Giant Slayer threshold, and here we're facing off against the 3rd place guy. So this is a do or die situation. They sold their Mundo. I'm not sure what he replaced it with, but he isn't on his board. I think he replaced it because he had an experiment hex or an experiment emblem. But we take the win there, and then the Lux player actually loses against this other guy. But we beat the other guy, so it's kind of like a rocks, paper, scissors thing going on. But in our next matchup, I do the roll down too slowly, so I don't get to get at least 2, but I don't think it's really going to matter. This Lux comp just kind of counters us right now because we don't have like a Victor. I think Victor does us like a huge solid in this build. Like, I think the ways to beat Lux is to just completely obliterate her tank line, which is hard because they run a lot of Sentinels, or just have some form of CC for her. Like, my Mord didn't even get to do 1 auto. Even if he did, I don't think it would have been enough, but we end up taking a 3rd place here, so not too bad at all. In the last game, I think we just really felt the pain of no Edge of Night. Also, like, getting Mordekaiser 2 is a high roll, but it was Warwick's Hunger, so everyone gets insane boards on that one. I think it was actually like a low to medium roll game because we could not get Mundo 2 forever. We got him at the very end, but so many people were contesting that unit and everyone was contesting Elise as well. But this particular game, we could try something like a Nocturne. Like, I probably should have bought this Nocturne, but I do run out of time. It is what it is. Definitely should have picked it up though. But we see Build-A-Bud, Conqueror's Crown, and Lucky Gloves. So I'm leaning Lucky Gloves because I already have 1 glove. So even though the other ones are pretty nice, like, I can't pass up on that, right? We get a Morgana, so that's pretty good. We want to definitely Thieves Glove our front line, and then build Gnasher's Tooth on our Morgana, but I make a mistake there. It's okay. I think I do want to level up, though. I have 1 upgrade. I got decent items on her. We get a Prismatic Pipeline guy, so this is just a free win. Next round, we get a Nami. I think I'm just going to play her instead. Always look for like tiny ways to make your board slightly better. It's not like going to make a huge difference, but over time you will feel it. Change the team planner. Probably going to go for some sort of Black Rose Dominator build again, so going to select that. The next player we're facing has Pumping Up, and that's more of a scaling augment. I like Pumping Up a lot, but we should be able to win this round because we have Lucky Gloves, and that just gave us 2 items, right, for the price of 1. But at this point in the game, it's just a bit more power. We do get a bunch of Sentinels here, very nice stuff. Then for some reason, we face a Vlad 2 with hard commit. It doesn't feel that great, right? But I have always said that Vlad kind of sucks for what he is, so we do end up winning this round anyways. Very nice stuff. We're going to go into the carousel with a 3-0. Decide to hold units on my bench instead of making interest. And here, just going for the rod. Probably fine. Ideally, we want another glove to make more lucky gloves, but someone else took that from before. Level up here, drop in another Sentinel. Not the biggest power spike, but it's all I can put in. But yeah, the person who took my gloves also has lucky gloves, so that's why they took it. Whenever I play lucky gloves, I always go for gloves on every carousel as much as I can. And then after that, I focus my items for 1 damage dealer, 1 tank. And that way I don't have like too many awkward item combinations, because sometimes when you build too many, you end up not having enough units to put your gloves on. By the way, I keep rolling sick items on my Morgana. She absolutely loves blue buff. There aren't many blue buff users in this set. It's really just like Morgana. I think Cassio uses it pretty decently, and Heimerdinger. But apart from that, it's like not too many can use it. There's some random legendaries that can use it, but there's no like insane blue buff users like in previous sets. We lose the last round. At least we get another glove from our augment, but losing your win streak, I feel like it costs you a placement, right? But at least we get another glove here, get some tank items so we could start building some tank. We also grab a Ziggs, which is nice. We get Dominator, and here I think I make a slight mistake. I think I definitely do build this stone plate, but I think I actually should build this Hextech Gunblade. The reason why is because like Gunblade's pretty good on Dominators because you scale decently into the fight, and Hextech Gunblade's kind of good to work off of that. But I also want to get as many gloves as possible, so on next carousel I'm probably going to get a glove anyways. I forget to use one of my gloves this fight. I get rocked, but probably would have lost regardless. Next round we get Dominator Crown, so that's Christmas came early. So I'm just going to go ahead and take that. Going to level up to level 6 because it is stage 3-2, and that's what people do. Is what I'm doing like rocket science or anything? Like, let me know down in the comments if I'm doing anything crazy. I really don't think I am. But I think once you know a comp and like play it a bunch, because like here I'm still in the learning phase of the comp, but later on the games become a lot more easier and a lot more degenerate. But I am forcing this comp a little hard. Like, I am leaning into it a lot more than I should. Like, I skipped Bronze for Life like 3 times already. We played what, like, this is the 5th game. I think I also skipped 1 Renata reroll game, but I think it would have been contested. But the Dominator comp is just really easy to play because you just click on all the Dominators. There are other variations of the build too. First one that comes to mind is the one where you play 4 Dominator and then you play good units instead, such as like Garen and things like that, and maybe Jace. And you could also go like 5 Black Rose too before you get some legendaries. But here we're facing off against a Silco. He's got this Wit's End, which honestly, pretty interesting build on Silco. I don't think it's the best ever, but definitely more than usable. It's going to be great on Mordekaiser later. I think it gives him some nice lifesteal and also a nice effect. But we lose this round going into the carousel. Let's try to get some more gloves. This player named Useless takes my gloves, so that doesn't feel good. Someone else also took the tier. That's why I was thinking like just slam the Gunblade from before, because it's just so hard to get the items that you want when you're like later in the pick order. But we get a Mundo here, absolutely huge. But unfortunately, the last player we were playing was playing Menaces, so they get a free copy of Silco. So we are going to be a bit contested this game. Well, we're just going to have to deal with it, you know. We're facing off against a Tristana, Radiant, Last Whisper, IE, Rageblade. So they're going for Tristana reroll with Ticket. It's actually good that we face them now. They don't have Tristana 3 yet, but we take a pretty sizable loss anyways. And then we face off against this person who, I think they took Flexible, and then they get this disgusting combination of Dominator afterwards and then gets offered Black Rose Crown. I cannot think of a better combo or like a worse combo for me to see this game, because they're just going what I'm going and they got both of them. Like, yeah, I have Dominator Crown, which is nice, like, but They got flexible Black Rose into Dominator. How sick is that? Like, ah, man, whenever I take flexible, I never get some disgusting combo like this. It's so disgusting. It also hurts doubly bad because I'm contesting him this game. But his augment is called flexible, and he's allowed to just hard force a comp because he got like 10 emblems for it. So some things are just in name. But we end up getting to level to 7 here. I don't think I got that level up in time because I got the gold a bit too late. We do get the Spear of Shojin. That's pretty big. We also get an Ionic Spark, so probably going to build that too. But what we really need is some gloves, and we just didn't get gloves this round, so that's really, really unfortunate. We're going up against someone playing Pit Fighters for now. They're probably going to pivot out or do some Enforcer build. But we are able to kill a bunch of units. Dare I say win this? I forget what actually happens. Maybe we can win this. Yeah, we got a lot of item holders in the back line, but our tank line held on, so yeah, that's good. But in the next augment phase, we actually get pretty good choices. We get Black Rose Crest, so it's like, yeah, I was complaining about the other guy getting like lots of crests, but you have to think about it, right? Like, he got 2 of my augments in 1 augment. That's disgusting, right? But we roll down, buy some of the units. Like, we're super contested. We just need 1 Silco and we're chilling, but don't end up getting that. It would have activated our 6th Dominator, but we have 1 player taking all our gloves. We have another player taking all our units. We have another person playing Menaces taking our units too. So it's just not an ideal game, even though these augments are really, really good for this Dominator build. The reason why I really like Lucky Gloves for this build is because you have so many people to itemize. So obviously, Mundo and Silco are going to be the main 2 to itemize. After that, we have Mordekaiser. He doesn't work that well with Lucky Gloves, though, because his best item is like Edge and Knight. So that isn't one of his select choices right now. They might change that in the future. But in the back line, like, Cassio can definitely use items. LeBlanc can use items. Elise can use Lucky Gloves. Garen can use Lucky Gloves. Even Blitzcrank can use it too. So, like, we got all solid item holders, which is why I really like it in this build. But unfortunately, we only have 2 of these gloves, so that's not working out. But we get to 5 Black Rose. Not bad. We're facing off against the person who's taking all our gloves. And just not ideal. Not ideal at all. They got Prismatic Pipeline. That's pretty nice. But they also have Mbessa too. We don't have our 4 cost yet. And we're carrying Morgana right now. Morgana and Cassio in the back line. Oddly enough, despite I think we lost a bunch of rounds, we're still not that great of a pick. Hopefully we can get this glove though, or finish off like this bow item, or get LeBlanc. That'd be good too. And we do not get the glove. So it's like, what am I supposed to do? I think I'd want a red buff here, but there's no bow either. So I end up just taking a Negatron. Maybe we could start building up another tank. I honestly don't know. Maybe Chain Vest was the best. That way I could get a Edge and Knight if I get a sword later on for my Mord that I'm totally going to get this game. So here I get to 6 Dominator, 5 Black Rose. I think I should have just given up on the gloves, just built the Jeweled Gauntlet on Silco. It's still a very good item on him. It just sucks that I can't get another pair of these gloves. I'm just admiring this other person's like augments and stuff, like flexible into that. I still think that's like one of the nuttiest things I've seen, especially since I am the other person playing the same comp. So a bit unlucky. They get to 7 Black Rose and somehow they lose. I don't really know what's going on there, but I guess I lost as well. So Headhunter don't want Fireball. Probably should just take Fireball. I don't have a anti-heal yet, so now we don't really need the anti-heal as much. And I just need 1 2-star 4 cost. But I'd say one of the bigger takeaways from this game is, like, in case you didn't know, Lucky Glove's not that lucky on Mordekaiser, so try to build items for him if you do get this augment. It's just one of those random things that you think would work but doesn't actually end up working out, because you're like, oh, I got like a legendary unit, like Lucky Gloves is perfect for them. Not in this case. It works on pretty much everyone else though. In the final stage we get a bunch of gold, obviously the item anvil, and no gloves. Silco 2, very nice though. Gonna roll down, try to get Mordekaiser. There's no way I can make level 9 this game like I did in the other ones. We just need to get Mundo 2 and like call it a day after that. Okay, well, at least we got one of them from the anvil. Probably drop it on, yeah. Like Morello isn't the best because we have the other fireball thing, but I just need to build some items. With Rod, Bow, Negatron, like you can't really build that great of items, right? Like no matter what, they're gonna be dead. Like I could build like an Even Shroud if I built a Rage Blade. If I built Nashers, I'd have second Ionic Spark. Like none of these really feel that great. So I opted to go for the Morello. Probably the Nashor's Ionic would have been the best. But honestly, how much better is it? Is getting a 1-star Mordekaiser a bigger difference? Probably. Is the person who took my glove early on getting 8th affecting my game more? Probably. Is rolling down here, not hitting Mundo, bothering me a bit more? Probably. It is what it is. So we face off against the Enforcer player again. I think they're only 6 Enforcer. They don't have the 8. They weren't that lucky with the emblems and such, but they do have this Gangplank, which is absolutely cranking. Same with this Vi. Like, holy cow. I swear sometimes Vi is just the best unit in the game, and other times she's just the worst. I think there's a very fine line before her just dying for free and her just completely carrying. And against me, she can completely carry because I don't really have like a complete team yet. Like, I literally just had to sell someone to get Blitzcrank 2, which feels bad. I think it's karma for selling Blitzcrank on stage 1-2 or whatever it was, because I did get a Blitz at the very start of the game, but I did end up selling it because I played the Sentinels in the early game. But I do have Garen. It's not completely hopeless, but he doesn't have like double Warmogs or anything like that, so he's not like the best thing in the world. But we face off against the flexible player. They obviously destroy us, and we go 6. Really unlucky on the items and also super contested this game. However, let's put our thinking caps on, right? Like I said, I average a 2.4, so how are we gonna do that? So in this game, we get the Victor Galaxy. It's a pretty go big or go home galaxy, in my opinion. I've seen some players just get a 6 cost on 4-1, which I think is absolutely disgusting, but it happens, right? But we get a Maddie start here with Bow, so I'm thinking maybe we could go for maybe a Corki build or something like that, right? We get the tier, so maybe not. But even if you are hard forcing a comp, you always want to play around the units you hit. And in this case, we have a bunch of Sentinels, couple of Bruisers, and this little Maddie over here. So support mining, I like that one more when I play melee carry comps. Pumping up definitely could have been that, but I really just like Iron Assets. It allows us to get 2 items right away and possibly form a streak of some sort. So I am probably going to go for that. I like it more than the other item augments. Like item grab bag definitely could be used here, but Thieves Glove is better than that. So it's either Thieves or Iron Assets. And Iron Assets, it's just been one of my favorite augments throughout the years. It's just a bit more of a comfort pick. But here we are going to get the 2 Sentinels out and also level up, put an Enforcer, and we have a solid team here. If you're feeling lucky, you could use this Reforger on something early, maybe do it for the Rod or the Bow. But I'm honestly such a degenerate here. Like, I have Maddie too, and I take her out to play with the AP items. Like, this is one of those things that people probably shouldn't do, you know? Like, I also make another mistake here. I think I should have built Static Shiv because 1, it kills the Bow, and like I saved the other tier for a blue, not blue buff, for a Spear Shojin. And also, Archangel's not that great in the comp for Dominators, as we talked about before, but I possibly could go Heimerdinger with this build with Sentinel Heimerdinger, so maybe I'm not that much of a degenerate. I'm more so going for the Heimerdinger build when I do this, but we'll end up seeing what I actually go. But I sell up to 10 gold here, very nice. We face off against a Zyra with 2 items. Zyra, I hate her as a unit. I really don't think she's that great, but she does have 2 items, so maybe she can cook up a win for the opponent this game. But honestly, 1-star Morgana holding her own as well. Gonna be a bit weaker because she does have 2 items. We only have 1, so I think they do pull out the win. But dare I say it, if we had 2 items for Morgana, maybe a Shojin, we probably could have won this. That's kind of how little respect I have for Zyra. But we get a Ziggs, pretty nice stuff. Also a Vlad, going to pick that up there. But maybe this game I should have just built the blue buff at the start and just hard force Heimerdinger. It probably would have been better because I had the Visionary and Sentinel start, so I think it actually would have been a better game to kind of go for that. But I'm not as familiar with the comps, so I always say stick to what you know. But it's not like I'm unable to play the other comps, it's just I have preferences. So despite all that, like, that's why I kind of have Dominators in my team planner still. But here we do get the tier. If you're playing correctly, you just slam a blue buff here, but if you're playing Dominators only, you build the Static Shiv. I actually rarely get to play Static Shiv in this build because I use my tiers for Shojins. But in this case, you are able to build it because we got the Iron Assets, which got us an extra tier. So we are able to finally kind of build it this game. I think it's really good on LeBlanc because 1, she hits a lot of units, so Static Shiv kind of like reduces everyone's magic resist a little bit, kind of damages all the like semi-damaged units already. So overall, I just think it's very solid. But these items I have are also just really good in the early game. Fights tend to last a long time in the early game, so Archangels and Rageblade are both good. Static Shiv just does a boatload of damage in general, so another good early game item. And here we are able to swap in the Dominators, and I can kind of fix my build a little bit. So should you put Static Shiv on Cassiopeia or Ziggs? In the long term, Cassiopeia is better. In the short term, Ziggs is better. So you have to figure out what you're trying to play for. Normally when I do fast 8s, I like to get a win streak going and preserve my life because it is hard to go level 8 with a lot of gold. I want to roll like maybe 60, 70 gold at level 8. Not all at once, but like you get to level 8, maybe you have like 40 gold, you roll down 30, and then you do another roll down later with another 30. That's around 60, right? But that's kind of hard to do if you are low life. So that's why I like preserving as much life as I can, even if it's just like 1 or 2 life difference. Like, what does it cost me? An item remover that I get every stage. Like, I'm a bit spoiled. Back in my day, we did not get many item removers, so I'm pretty used to just building whatever items. So all this new remover stuff is like a luxury to me. I end up using one right now because we got a lot of Ziggs items. I make a mistake here. I meant to build Morello, but I built a guard breaker. You can see my mouse kind of just like act confused for a moment because I was just playing too quickly and I just accidentally build the wrong items. Like, everyone knows me. They know how much I love Morello on Ziggs, but I'm pretty much cursing at myself here because even like Jeweled Gauntlet's really good here. Like, it's just building this guard breaker is so bad. It's not that guard breaker is a bad item. It's like they're just much better ones to build here, and I just wasn't able to do that. Like, Static Shiv with the Morello burning everyone down in the backline is such a powerful combo, but it's not the end of the world. But it does really screw over my game here. Like, quality over quantity. Honestly, could go for that because I do have the Static Shiv on someone, but I'm thinking just immovable object. I like this one on Dominators a lot. Actually, I pretty much like it in every comp, but we level up here, get to level 6. It's 3-2. We also keep 40 gold. But Dominators give you a shield, so getting some resistances from the Randuin's Omen, more than nice, right? Against a Sentinel player here, we could have, yeah, like, I mean, I didn't know they were going Sentinel before fully because when you do an AP start, you can kind of go anything. They could still be going like Rebels for all I know. But from the start, if you're playing serious, definitely just build like the blue buff and go for a Heimerdinger game because blue buff is so good on him. Nothing much to get in our next shop though, but man, this guard breaker, it probably cost us at least 1 placement because it just kind of messes up all our items later on. Again, guard breaker is not a bad item. It's just they're better, you know? I kind of explained this in my recent tier list video where someone asked me like, how come people don't put Runons as like a recommended item when everyone says Runons is good? I think we just take probably a defensive item here, right? Or just get the belt, get the Morello. Could get a second pair of Ziggs. Essentially, Runons is a very good item. Like, I'm not lying when I say that. But is it the best item for some 80 carries? Like, very rarely. But we finally get our Morello. I'm going to do a little bit of scouting here. See what other people are up to. Seems to be like one of the AP players a Renata player, the other one probably a Sentinel player. So we're not going to be that contested this game. This person, they're probably going to go into something like what we're doing too because they have Maddie with Nashers and Spirit Shojin. But I think this game we ended up having 1 other Silco player and 2 other Mundo players. Not the worst thing ever, right? But let's plan ahead a little bit. I did not have like super econ. I couldn't go level 7 on 3-5. I mean, I could have, but I would have had a little bit less gold than I would have liked. So we have to do like a delayed level 8 here. Maybe have to do it on 4-2, maybe even 4-5, but definitely not a 4-1 level 8 here just because we're too low gold. So when you have those situations happen, you got to find some way to stabilize with like a couple of rolls on level 7 maybe, or just like sack everything and see if you can afford the health. Off this neutral round, we get a Negatron glove, some gold, a bow, and a rod. So tons of items there. Not the best combination, to be honest. So I don't want to mention this too much, but you gotta wonder, had I built the Morello from before, how different would this game have looked? I think a lot different. Like, we might have saved a bit more life or maybe dealt a bit more damage to some of the other players. And does that end up mattering? Some games it does, some games it doesn't. But these item combos, not the best. Yeah, I think I'm going to reforge the bow. Don't really need it because I already have a Shiv and a Morello, so I can't really build red buff. The only item it builds is Nashers, but if I get a belt, I want to build tank items with it. So I'm going to build a Redemption for now. Probably going to remove this Singe really shortly. And probably a Jeweled Gauntlet here would be pretty good, to be honest. Like, it's going to work really well with the guard breaker. So yeah, I probably should just build the jeweled gauntlet. It's just a bit awkward because my items are kind of all over the place. And I know I was saying like, oh, I had so many removers before, but it's kind of starting to get to the point where it's like, I kind of have to use them a bit more conservatively. But we face Lone Hero Lux, never going to win this fight. It actually was pretty close this time, to be fair, though. In the next shop, we have a Change of Fate. Definitely could take that. It's not bad. Greater Moonlight Pass, Invested ++. I actually could go for that, but I'm thinking I could just do Change of Fate, but I don't really like my items here, so I end up saying like, oh, just take the Pandoras. I know we kind of passed that on a previous game, but this game we get a Radiant Shojin. That's really lucky, but there actually are quite a few items I can use. Like pretty much any tank item would be pretty good, but we level up to 8. I think this is a bit premature. I think I could have sacked 2 more rounds. Who knows? I might not even lose them, right? And I could have gone maybe down to 30-ish life. I think that's decently playable, but let's swap our team around a bit. I need to make sure someone holds this Randuin's Omen that's spread around a bit. I probably should have reforged the Archangels. It's not that great of an item, and then probably just build the Jeweled Gauntlet plus the Guard Breaker on the Silco. That would have been a perfectly fine Silco build, so I make a mistake there. But yeah, this other player goes for Dominator. He has the Dominator crown, so that's a little annoying, but yeah, I think I definitely do make a mistake there. I don't know why I didn't see that during the game. Like I could have easily swapped out my Archangel for something else, but we lose to this Urgot player. Urgot comp actually is a legit comp. A lot of people thought it was a meme build, which initially it was, but then like the new versions of it are actually pretty good. You can combine it with like Tristana reroll, things like that. Do I complete this Loris? In hindsight, I think I probably should have, just to stabilize a little bit because we are a little low here. End up getting a second copy of Morden Silco in our shop, so definitely want to play around those. Unfortunately, I do get a tank item here from my Pandoras, but it's another redemption. I don't want 2 redemptions. They don't stack really well, but I just want any tank items for my Mundo, so I'm going to save that Negatron Cloak on my Amumu and then leave the belt on my Mundo. Hopefully I could get a Warmogs or something or a Dragon Claw. Both options are perfectly fine, but take a big loss there. We're at 27 life now. See what I mean? We rolled down and we didn't win anyways. Like, did we even save any life? Not really. We get a 5 cost cloak carousel, so that's pretty good. We get the Mundo too, but again, like I could have just had so much more gold to roll down with had I played a bit more patiently. And yeah, just things were a bit rushed, and I think I was tilted because I built the wrong item early on in the game, so that probably affected my mental for the rest of the game. But we get a huge hit here. We get this Mordekaiser, definitely have to fit that in, and we are able to do so. Get the 6 Doms with the Black Rose. I almost make the mistake again. See, I almost dragged the Dragon Claw onto, or one of the cloaks onto my Mundo, but I fixed myself just in time. But I was like super tilted this game because of that Guard Breaker, because man, Morello just is so good, and it kind of griefed my other stuff. I made another mistake before. I don't know if people noticed, but I should have put the Radiant Shojin on my Silco, but I forgot to item remove it off my Casio from before, so now I have to spend 2 of them. So I'm just wasting my removers this game. Wasted a bunch of my like items as well, but here we get protective shielding. Yeah, just take it. You know, we get a Warmogs, perfectly good stuff. This one's pretty good. It's not the best because it's not like I have a Giga max health on any of my tanks. Like if we compared this Mundo to like Bruiser Mundo or like a Garen on any board, they have a lot more health, right? Like it's not like he has no health, but the shielding thing definitely benefits a lot more if you play a tankier Mundo. But what my Mundo excels at is healing to full life every time he casts because he has a lot of AP. But I guess the lesson for this anomaly round is if you have no gold, you kind of have to just pick whatever you get. So here I save the Chain Vest because I want a Edge of Night, and then I quickly just pick any item so that I have a chance to get a sword because I want to play around my Mordekaiser a bit now. But we have to roll down here. I want Silco too. This game, since I'm low life, low health, I wasted a lot of my gold before. I don't think I can actually go for level 9 that reliably, but we do get a Mel here, which is huge, right? We're allowed to play her. And I'm going to switch my items up a little bit. Put the Radiant Shojin on the Silco. I think he is going to be a better carry than the Mel, but I put a bunch of the other items on Mel. And the Archangel ends up working out pretty decently because she could definitely use it because she is not a Dominator, so she gets to scale a bit more from it. Shiv, again, you could put it on Casio, but am I playing for short term or long term? Right now I'm playing for short term because I'm low life, so I want to just jam 3 items on my Silco. Perfectly fine item to put on him. It gives a little bit of AP, and like the attack speed helps him cast a little faster. Would I rather have a jeweled gauntlet? Of course, but it is what it is. I'd also rather have a 3-item Silco than a 2-item Silco. We end up facing this Tristana player again. I feel like we are rotating into this guy a lot, but maybe Mel can kind of fix that. But look at my Mundo. He's got the D-Claw, so he just kind of gets countered by this build because he has a lot of magic resistance, but not too much armor, so he kind of just eats us alive. But it's actually like a decently close fight, and we almost edge out a win there. Like, I gotta wonder if that costs us a placement or not. We've now rotated this last item component 3 times. No sword yet. Pretty unlucky. How many components are there? There are like 8 of them, so it's like maybe a couple more I should get the sword, right? Obviously, it's like full random, so you could go back to like one of the components you previously passed on. Like originally, the item was a chain, and then I got a chain again, or like I got a belt, then a chain again, and now a bow. Could I slam the Titans on him? Yeah, but Edge of Night is just that good. This carousel actually has a bunch of choices. I could go for Black Rose. I could go for Adaptive Helm. End up going for Adaptive here. Giant Slayer and Jeweled Gauntlet are both good too. But end up going for Adaptive, get my Mordekaiser to cast a bit faster. I get another chain from the Pandoras. Unfortunate there, but I'm going to go level 9 now. You could say like, oh, I'm 16 life, I could just die at any moment. And yeah, that is true. But if I roll down here, what could I possibly hit? Like I have 1-star Mel, 1-star Mordekaiser. The chances of hitting 2-star Mordekaiser at level 8 without a pair is like so minuscule that I think it's much more worth it to just risk it for the biscuit and just hold out a little bit. And like getting Swain too, would that really help me that much? Not really. Oh, sorry. I should mention on the carousel, I don't actually need Black Rose because I'm not running Black Rose right now. But normally when you play Dominators, you do. But since I have this Mel, it is Victor's Galaxy, right? So I had a bit of a higher chance for 6-cost units. It's a bit more difficult to fit. So I would prefer a Victor, but Mel, perfectly capable person and very solid unit. Great for the items I have, actually. Shojin, Morello, Archangels, like, can you get a better combo on Mel based off of like random crap that you built in the early game? Probably not. It's like one of the better combos here. But here we're facing off against a Lux. We barely squeak out the win there. I think the main reasons why is because we kind of blew through his team and were able to get on his Lux quickly. I do make a mistake here. I built this Steadfast Heart. I think I should have held out. Steadfast is a pretty decent item for melee carries. It sounds a bit counterintuitive, but if you have any bit of lifesteal, it's really nice because I get to heal to full multiple times, and when you are above 50% health, you gain like a durability bonus. I forget the exact percentages, but it works something like that. So I actually did this a lot in the past. If anyone remembers the Yone builds when he was a 3-cost, I actually built like BT Steadfast Titans like pretty often. It was like a pretty solid build, believe it or not. So I continued doing that here, but because I was facing the Lux, I should not have built this, because if I lose to Lux, I'm only going to lose by 1 unit, so I wouldn't have lost the game anyways if I was desperate to get more value onto my board. But I kind of have like a pretty tanky Mordekaiser here, not so much a damage dealer, but I do get a Victor. That's really nice, and honestly, that's fine. Tank Mordekaiser is good because I have this Mel scaling with Archangels, I have the Dominators scaling with Archangels. It's not the end of the world. Like, would I prefer to have a full damage Mordekaiser? Of course, but you know, sometimes you could switch it up a little bit, and we are able to take another win here, and we secure a top 4. Dare I say a top 3? For some reason, this Lux is not luxing as hard as other Luxes, right? But maybe she still wins. Man, this comp is so cringe. They are getting rid of it, so I definitely am welcoming that. But we got a lot of high-cost units. We got a lot of 6-costs. What should we put in for this final slot instead of Swain? Like, is LeBlanc better? LeBlanc's not really giving me any synergies, but she does give the LeBlanc effect. Swain is giving us Dominate or Conquer. We face the Tristana Urgot player again. Sterix is the best item for Urgot, probably the most important. I think people kind of discovered that as time went on. Like, obviously a lot of people knew it was the best item, but not everyone built it before. Some people were building like Infinity Edge on Urgot, and like, I don't know, like Urgot's more of a tank, not so much a damage unit. Not a tank, but like a bruiser. But we are able to sneak out a win here. It wasn't even the ghost. I'm actually surprised we won that. Again, we have like the Dragon Claw, so like our Mundo's just much less useful against that specific player, but it's good against a lot of other players though, right? Like there's half the lobby was ability power, or a little more than half, I think. Person I'm facing asked me, are you the real Bunny Muffins? Hilarious. But we're in first place right now in terms of health at least, and we face off against the Renata Ghost. Thank you for the good guides. Yep, bunnymuffins.lol or the YouTube channel. Tell your friends, you know, like a lot of people ask me like, can I donate money? And I'm like, of course you can. I'm not going to say no to money, but honestly, the best way to support me is to just spread the word. And if you know someone who's getting into TFT or someone who plays TFT already, and you're not afraid that they're going to become better than you, definitely share the website with them, share the YouTube channel with them. That's always the best way to kind of do me a solid. So just one thing to keep in mind there. Here, none of these items are really that enticing. Probably the Steadfast, put it on a different tank unit, and I go directly for that. I'm gonna do one last Hail Mary roll down, try to get this Mordekaiser 2-star. Are we able to get it? I mean, we are level 9, but we get all the 6 costs, so we could have played one copy of each of them, but probably not that worth it. But we face off against the Artillerist player again. Can anyone tell me what was different about this fight versus the last one? Because we do end up losing this fight, I think. So I'm not really too sure what the difference was. Like, we had our Victor go off still, but maybe Mordekaiser didn't live as long. Maybe Silco wasn't like getting good targeting RNG, maybe, because sometimes Silco throws stuff randomly. We rolled down again, hit nothing. If we hit more 2, I think it is an easy win. But I moved my units a little closer to him so they don't have to walk too far away. I shifted my tank line to the right 1 square or 1 or 2 squares. I don't really think that affects that much. Elise is destroying me, but I think that's just part of the gig because I have the Randuin's Omen. So it is what it is. And we end up taking the loss here. So getting second, not bad considering all the mistakes made this game. The mistakes obviously by accident. Gotta wonder if the game would have been different otherwise. Now let's get into game number 7. This is going to be Jace's workshop. And that gives everyone an artifact anvil to start the game. So I think what people should be doing now, and I learned this after this game, is that in this set, in previous sets, people didn't do this. But in this set, I think you should pop your anvil early on because there are just so many OP ones that go in one direction. For example, Family Reroll works really, really well with Suspicious Trenchcoat. A bunch of other ones included there too. Nocturne works really, really well with any of the +1 range artifacts, so you want to find that out as soon as possible. So I think you should just pop your anvil right away. But in previous sets, people did not do that, so that's one thing to keep in mind there. But right now, the way the game is, we probably should do that. But let's see what we get off of our augments. So we have Void Caller, probably not. Support Cache, maybe. What doesn't kill you? I'm a fan of what doesn't kill you, but we might end up losing too much health. Superstars, no, I'm not doing a 1-cost reroll. I mean, you could take support, but Epic, also good. But I'm going to scout around a bit before I choose this because Epic, I like that one a lot. It's just like a free way to fast 8. But I was thinking, since I don't have any upgrades, just get what doesn't kill you and then pop the anvil here. So what do I get? Trinity, nah. Zonia's, if I'm going AP, it's good. Gamblers could have been done too. I probably should have went like a Kog'Maw build with Gamblers. That actually would have been pretty decent. I don't have the Rage Blade yet, but I do have a Tear and a Rod for my Kog'Maw eventually. So those both can build decent items for him. But I think everyone knows what I'm thinking. What do you think the best item on Mordekaiser is? And then, is there a better version of it that gives better types of stats? That's going to be Zonia's on Mordekaiser. So I'm just completely out of my mind right now. Sometimes you get a little too deep, but I'm just going to try to keep lose streaking here. No point building items, no point slamming items. We lose the next couple rounds, get to the carousel. I probably could just take the Kog'Maw here, play Kog'Maw. Like, it's not the best artifact item, but it is pretty decent still, even without the Gambler's Blade. But I'm going to go for the Morello because I'm a Morello addict. Not going to build it yet, though. Still going to hold on to my what doesn't kill you. You always have to check if there's like an open forder or anything. In the final round, I face a Corki, so I do take pretty big losses here. Not going to deny that. But I got a glove from my what doesn't kill you. I got a chain from the golems, a sword, and also another belt and chain. So what should we build from these? Probably Bramble Vest, probably Shojin. Shojin Morello for sure. Let's do that first. And then we didn't build the wrong item this time. You could guard breaker, honestly. I know I was just trashing that item before, but if we built both, like I'm scouting around here to see how much attack damage there is on whether I need the bramble vest or not. Because if there is a lot of attack damage, I want to build bramble vest. If there isn't, then I'd rather build a steadfast heart. And this game, we decided just to build the bramble, and we see a Mana Zane luck. So what doesn't kill you? Normally you want to lose 8 rounds. That way you get 2 item components and a bunch of gold in the early game. But I don't want to take too massive of losses, so I don't mind winning a few here and there. I just need to lose 3 more rounds, and that's why I build the items on people. I don't want to take 5 unit losses anymore, but the way Ziggs works is a little unfortunate because he does a lot of AoE damage, so sometimes he leaves a lot of units alive with 1 health. Luckily, this time I only leave people with 2 health. I could have easily leveled up there, by the way, and then I would have won the round. But taking a 2 unit loss, perfectly fine there, exactly what I want. Crown's Will, pretty decent. Item Collector, also good. Sated Spellweaver, don't really need that. Mentorship, I play around a lot of 4 and 5 costs, so I don't really want Mentorship. Mentorship's more for 1 and 2 costs or 3 cost units. So pretty easy pick on the augment there. I also get to slam a Jeweled Gauntlet, which is really nice. Like we all know, best slot items on Silco probably going to be Shojin, Nashor's Jeweled Gauntlet, so it works out pretty well there. On my Ziggs, I'm going to have the Morello, but who holds the Zonia's Hourglass this game? Probably going to be Silco, and then once I get Mordekaiser, then I'll swap it to Mordekaiser. So not looking too bad here. We do take a big loss here. This is more of what I'm talking about, like bunch of units with low life, but it also does suck that we lost to a Ziggs player, so we are going to be contested this game. This person has best in slot Kog'Maw. Holy cow. Wit's End, Gambler's Blade, Rage Blade. Is there? That's an insane Kog'Maw. Like, there are very few items that are better than that. Let's just put it that way. But we lose here, kill a couple of things, but I think that's our 8th loss, so we are going to get another component. On the carousel, I see a Mundo. I'm going to go for that. I know Sword isn't the best, but because we have so many item components from what doesn't kill you, going for champions is fine. Also, whenever I am hard forcing a comp, I typically go for the units a lot on carousel, even if they do have suboptimal items, just because hard forcing, like, I mean, you have to get the units, right? And Mundo, decently contested, not the most contested unit ever, but decently contested. But I do get bailed out with the Spear of Shojin from the random component that I got. So very nice stuff there, but I could have easily gone like a Giant Slayer for later. I could have finished an item for this belt that I have on my Rel. Could have gone a tank item there with that random component. So there were multiple outs, so to speak, but Shojin definitely the best one. Can't complain about that. We actually start winning here, so that's pretty nice. Theoretically could have taken 1 or 2 more losses, but winning's fine too. We picked up a Cassio, so we have Cassio pair now. We're really just missing Silco or Blitzcrank for 4 Dominator. That's a pretty decent power spike. And then we could swap the items over, like tank items, onto our Mundo. Arguably, we could put them on right now, but I didn't want to sell my Rel quite yet. So that's why I kind of left them on the Rel. But here we get a very good loss. Or do we win? We almost won here. So close. Oh, wait, no, we do win. Okay, we get a 2-game win streak. This is absolutely perfect what doesn't kill you gameplay. 8 loss streak into 2 wins. We are level 7, 50, like 40 out of 48 XP, so we could just roll down with 50 gold level 8 right now. Question is, can we hit stuff? We get the Ziggs, nice. Mundo, nice. I do want the Silco, nice. We get to 4 Dominator. If we get a lucky Mordekaiser, like, we win the game, but we get the Blitzcrank instead. You know, this is all pretty decent. I could run like, yeah, 5 Dominator, 4 Dominator. What's the difference? What I should have done if I played perfectly and faster is sell this Morgana, put in the Vlad. I keep the 3 Black Rose, but I get to swap the items over onto my Cassio for a bit, and then I could eventually move them to Silco later. So I get the Warmogs perfect. I also get a Thieves Glove, very nice on Elise. And then I do have this extra sword. It's not going to do that much this game, but it's okay. These items are more than serviceable. I have 2 Shojins, or like 2 pairs of AP items in the back line for 2 users. That's going to be great for LeBlanc and for Silco. I could keep the Shojin and Morello on Ziggs too. That's perfectly fine too, because he is a great applier of Morello, as we talked about before. Probably my favorite out of all the Dominators. So Mace's Will, probably don't want that. Spirit Link, pretty good because we're low health, so just going to take Spirit Link. Little Buddies normally is good for vertical comps, which is what we're playing. We're going 6 Dominator, but Dominator only has 1 2-cost unit, so it's not as good as something like Rebels, where you can run like, what is it, Akali, Set, Vex, and Aurelia. You have like 4 Little Buddies, so it's much better in that comp, but Not quite good in this comp here. I like putting Warmogs on the Garen, but maybe I should have double stacked my Mundo here, just because I want to concentrate on my tank items. So maybe a slight mistake. I know Warmogs is best in slot on Garen, but right now I don't have many tank items, and I might not even get 3 tank items on Mundo in like the next stage. So slight mistake there. I probably should have just played for the now instead of for the later. We do manage to beat the Manazane Jinx Rebel board though. How do people hit Jinx on 4-2 with Manazane? And then the next opponent is going to be Silco 2, Garen 2. Not ideal, but it's okay. As long as we hit a Mordekaiser here with the Zonias, like he should just solo carry for like a good portion of the game. So if we see it on the next carousel, we're definitely going to go straight for it. We do have what doesn't kill you from before, so we do have a low HP pool, so to speak. So if he does show up on carousel, it's going to be really, really nice. Ha ha ha, just kidding. He is not on carousel. I could take the LeBlanc though. You probably don't need both Edge of Night and Zonias, but like LeBlanc's LeBlanc. Since we are low health though, I feel like I need to roll a little bit, get some 2 stars, because we have a bunch of pairs. We have Garen and Elise pair, so we easily could hit some of them. We actually have LeBlanc pair, Silco pair, and Blitzcrank pair now, so this is called what some people say pair city. It's not ideal. I also make a big mistake here. I sell the Garens instead of the Swain. Don't ask me why. I also had Swain pair. That's absolutely hilarious. And then I see 3 Mundos when I already have Mundo 2-star. But that's actually a pretty bad mistake on my part. Like, what's the better unit, Garen or Swain? I don't even have to ask you guys that, right? Like, obviously, Garen's better. So I don't know why I didn't sell Swain, but it is what it is. We get stunned by this Jinx. So 2 people hit Jinx when they're playing Rebel? That's crazy. I mean, I guess this guy has Slammin', also has Mogul's Mail as his, like, artifact item for Econ. But we actually get a pretty close fight here. We almost won this. Like, dare I say, if Ziggs casted one more time, we may have had that dub. But let's go ahead and try to find something for our team. Magic Training's not that great, but I don't have much gold, so I'm thinking maybe I just take it on Silco. Like, he casts pretty often. We get some AP, but we already get so much AP, it's not that worth it. But it's like, I have 9 gold. Because I am 21 health and 1 Mordekaiser just saves my entire game, I do a donkey roll down to 0. Just to see if I hit anything. I also have a bunch of pretty important pairs, but we do end up getting one of them, which is nice, the Elise. And we do end up taking the win against this Quick Striker Nocturne with Fishbones player in the next round. So not the worst of positions. Like, this person's in a much worse position than I am, in my opinion. They don't have Nocturne 3 yet, and they're still level 6 at this point in the game. We do barely win this, right? But a win is a win. On the final little thing here, we get a bow, a lot of gold, and also the item Anvil. So I have to roll down again. Where's it? We finally get Silco 2. All right, we could probably manage this for a while. It's not like we could hit level 9 though. But snap that. What could we build here? Maybe like a Nashor's Edge of Night could work. I want a 3rd tank item for Mundo, so I opt for this Steadfast Heart. I could also build the Giant Slayer on my backline. Giant Slayer is okay, not the best item, but also not the worst. We face off against someone with a 1-star Jinx with Collector, Enforcer. Pretty scary. Our Silco manages to finish it, barely not off though. So that 1 HP loss, you know, sometimes I get them, sometimes I don't. Next shop, no Mordekaiser. We're really just looking for 1-star Mordekaiser, but we are facing off against the other Silco player. They're running a bit of a different team. They have like Nunu, they have Jace, they have Swain in the back line, so we're not playing like the same exact team, but pretty similar stuff. They're also focused more on the Garen main tank. That's just what they hit in the early game. And then in the next fight, we face off against the Rebel player. Seems like we face the same exact matchups we did in stage 4. And we don't position well. Like, his Jinx gets tons of stuns on our Silco, which is pretty annoying. And then she also procs our Silco with the Zonia's Hourglass, so that's pretty bad. And through this, we were not, like, if his Zonia proc there, we might have been able to squeeze out a little bit more HP. But unfortunately, we take the loss there, so we get a 5th. And I know what everyone's asking. You're like, hey, you got 5th, 6th a bunch of times. Like, I thought you were averaging a 2.4. And my response to you is we got 3 more games left. But this game, we start off with a Nami and a Gangplank. And yeah, the real unfortunate tragedy of last game was if we got 1 Mordekaiser, like, with the Zonias, that's just so powerful, right? Chain Vest Rod, great start. 1 defense, 1 offense item component. Rel and these Morganas are probably goated early game for this because you just get free Sentinel and Visionary to start off the game. And decent starting items here. We could drop the Ionic, but we get presented with 3 augments. Expected Unexpectedness. I'm hard forcing, you know. You could play around it, but you have to play flex. It is good. Lucky Gloves also good, but I only like taking it if I have existing gloves. So we get Dominator plus Tactician's Crown, which absolutely is insane. I don't think that augment that I just took is very fair, because if we compare it to other crowns where like you get an emblem, an item, and a unit, this one we get an emblem and an extra unit, right? I feel like that's a little more powerful. Someone feel free to disagree with me in the comments below, but you could get a bad one. I'm not saying you can't get a bad one based on the current patch or like whatever patch we're playing in, but you get an extra unit slot and you get to go for the comp still. It just feels really nice for me, especially for beginners. If you're not like 500 IQ, know every single comp, know all the ins and outs of every single comp, being able to turn your brain off, open up the team planner, plan out your entire team plan or like composition from the start of the game, it makes it a lot easier, which helps you play TFT better because you can now focus on all the other things. Also, when people scout you, they're like, oh, I better not go Dominator, right? Because this guy got the nuts for it. So based on those reasons, I'm betting the data on this augment is really good in like lower ratings because I feel like the amount of power you get from it is pretty solid. Maybe not super low ratings, but maybe like between like Emerald and Diamond, probably this augment is the best in, but maybe not as good in like Bronze or something like that, and not as good as in like Master, Grandmaster, and Challenger. You may notice if you watch some other players, like a lot of the like really good players, they don't take a lot of these random augment type of stuff because they only like playing emblems if they have units for the comp, and stuff like branching out or what I just took is pretty risky to take if you don't have the units for it, and you could go 8th a lot if you just don't end up getting the units that you want. So that's one thing to look out for. But you know me, I like going big or going home. I think it's just fun to play that way. But we grab the tier here. That's the only option. You just need at least 1 tier whenever you are playing this comp, and we get it decently early. Got a bunch of upgrades to our board, so we can clean up our bench, make 10 gold, probably level up here too. I actually end up not leveling up. I think I could have done it. Like I could have sold Vladimir and leveled up Vladimir and Vex. I guess I don't have anything that great to put in. I just put in maybe another Rel. Because we are just 4 Sentinel, 2 Visionary, but like adding in an extra Rel with the 4 Centenary buff probably isn't too bad, right? But we're facing off against Kog'Maw with one of his best items. He has the Gambler's Blade. If you ever get that, you can force Cog. It's better in different patches, I think. Like previous patch, I would auto-force Kog'Maw, but it got nerfed a bit. The better Automata builds are going to be with Nocturne, but it's still very playable with that item. But what really sucks is that I could have just leveled up, sold the Vlad, and still made 10 gold had I won that round, so a little unfortunate there. We definitely had enough juice to kind of kill that Kog'Maw had we leveled up. But this person has a Corki on stage 2-6, so unlucky me. They're level 6 right now because they have At What Cost, so I don't know if you know Corki, but he's very nasty on early rounds. So we end up taking a big fat loss there. But we get great items off these golems. Belt and Rod, that's exactly what you want. I could go for Morello. I can go for, I don't know, Crown Guard, Sunfire Cape. Options are endless. I also have a bunch more tiers, so I could do like a Redemption maybe. So these are good items. There's no sword though, so no Shojin, but I'm thinking maybe build the Adaptive Helm. I like Adaptive Helm. It gives mana. Like, you just need 1 mana item at the end of the day. So if you get a Ziggs with Morello and Adaptive Helm, they are just going to Giga carry you throughout the middle of the game. But honestly, if you built Redemption here, I think that's perfectly fine item as well. You could also build Sunfire Cape, either or. I would not build Blue Buff. I don't like Blue Buff in the Silco builds. It really only works on Morgana and Heimerdinger. So were you to do that, you'd probably have to switch into something else. But since we have this Dominator crown early on, we pretty much have to go Dominators, right? That's the one risk you take whenever you take one of those augments early on that forces you into a certain build. Is that pivoting? It's like, can you do it? Yeah, but you are wasting a lot of value if you do. So if I saw like Heimerdinger in my next shop and I have this blue buff that I could have built, I'm going to be pretty sad. But life, you know? But we have a very good start here. The best, some may say. So lineup, no. Band of Thieves, maybe. Fire Sale, probably going to be the one I'm taking. Could have also been Item Collector, but I think out of all those, it's all pretty decent. I like Fire Sale because I like having one econ augment whenever I do a fast 8, because if not, I'm just so poor. We are on game number 8, so I think everyone's kind of noticed the pattern. It's not really Dominator Simulator, it's more so Mordekaiser Simulator. If we get Mordekaiser, we just play so much better than all the games where we didn't get him. I think like every game we've gotten him, or we haven't gotten him, we've gotten bot for. Well, I'll do a summary at the end to kind of analyze all that. But we are able to take this dub here. I get a Vlad too, and then despite having Dominator emblem, this guy goes for Silco anyways with Cassiopeia. So that's pretty annoying. Not the end of the world, but I just don't like being contested when I'm the one with the thingy, you know? It's just a little annoying. But some people might be asking, when do you want to roll to stabilize with Ziggs 2? And my answer to that is if you have a bunch of pairs on your bench. I don't have Ziggs pair, and the Sentinels that I have, I don't really care too much about them. If I had Ziggs or Cassio pair, I probably would. But here, I think we take either a tank item or a sword. I opt to go for a tank item here. We don't need the pan. Actually, I went for a Nashor's here. That's also fine too. But we don't need pan because we can't really use it that well. You can't build Dominator emblem. The only emblem that's worth it for us that's craftable is going to be Black Rose, but that's with Spatula. But we're just letting our fire sale tick every turn. Hopefully we buy expensive units because it's a random one every time. That's why it's good to like level up a little aggressively whenever you have this, because one, you have the econ to do it, and two, you get like a slightly better value from fire sale if you do. So if you're doing a reroll comp and you need an econ augment, do not take fire sale because oftentimes you'll be lower level, so you'll get worse stuff. But unfortunately, we end up losing the next 3 rounds. It's okay though. We're set up to do like a medium size roll down. I know we're not level 7 yet, but we have a lot of gold in our bank above 50. So we could easily reach level 8, maybe on like 4-2, 4-5, depending on everyone else. And technically speaking, like, had this been a game where no one was contesting us, it'd be fine to do a 4-5, but we are a little contested this game. And yeah, we get to level 7 with 56 gold, so 4-2 definitely in the picture here. So Malzahar, nice. I could use Malzahar for a little bit. Shojin, probably good. And for the tank items, I could probably build a Bramble or a Stone Plate. I do have to scout to figure that out, but I think I item remove, drop the Dominator emblem onto the Malzahar, and then also put the Nashors on him. He should be able to do decent carrying with that. Ideally, I have the Morello on him, but I don't want to use all my item swaps because I'm probably not keeping Malzahar. And I also do swap my items onto my Mundo. I do need to get my 4th Dominator. It's weird. I have a Mundo, but I only have 3 Dominator. Normally, when you get him, you get to 4 because you have Blitzcrank, Cassio, and your Ziggs. And in this specific game, I even have an emblem, so I'm missing both the 3 costs. To be fair, I have not rolled yet, though. Bulky Buddies, I like that one a little bit. Tomb Raider, I hate, and all these other ones are useless, so I don't really have a choice there, do I? Level up here, 28 gold to roll down with. Not the best, but Silco in, we got Cassio. Who are we looking for? Blitzcrank now to get to 6. I'd probably roll to 0 here. Just get the last person. LeBlanc can be subbed in over the Malzahar. There's a Blitzcrank. Take out all these Sentinels. And I do forget about Bulky Buddies for like a couple turns this game, which is pretty funny because I did mention before, it's like, oh, the reason why I like this augment, Tactician's Cape or whatever it's called, is because you could just do your team planner and then AFK the rest of the game and focus on everything else. Unfortunately, I took the AFK part more to heart and I forgot I have Bulky Buddies. So I just forget to use it this turn, and I think I forget it in the future turns as well. Let's make a bet in the comments. How many rounds do I forget to do this without looking ahead? Obviously, no cheating. I don't remember. It wasn't just this round, though. I forget when I remember. But we're up against a Tristana Corky player, it looks like. Are they trying to go Emissary? No, they're Tristana reroll. They got a bunch of Tristanas on their bench. And they took Call to Chaos. They got the 3 Hull Breakers. Honestly, I like that Call to Chaos a lot. I feel like it's a pretty decent value for an Prismatic Augment. And like it gives decent stuff, but yeah, Ziggs 2 is probably better than Silco 1, but Ziggs 1 probably not better than Silco 1. But I'm thinking I can get a Ziggs earlier on anyways, so that's why I haven't removed anything yet. However, you could argue maybe I should item remove the Ziggs because I could always sell him later as well. So I could kind of like greed it a little bit with him. We're facing up against a mirror match. They have the Black Rose emblem, so they get Scion 5 or Black Rose 5, so he's golden. We're at 5 Black Rose as well, but ours is a little bit different. Like, we don't have the Garen to like shore up our front line, for example, and yeah, we get torched here. It's okay. On this carousel, you know what we're looking for. We are second pick though, so we want to finish off this tier or our chain item. I could go for a bramble vest. I could go for a stone plate. I could also get this rod, potentially turn it into like a crown guard. And I also do get 5 gold when I am broke, just like you in real life. Just kidding. But I'm pretty much playing the same board. The other Silco player, he's 1-star Silco, 1-star Mundo. We get the Black Rose in, like 6 Dominator, 5 Black Rose, same as before. But hopefully, like, I don't even know who's dealing the most damage on our team. Any guessers? Like, is it LeBlanc? She doesn't even have any traits active. Or sorry, she has 2 Sork active. Black Rose does nothing for her, right? But maybe it's the Ziggs. We'll have to see in the damage chart. It is LeBlanc. Sorry, I just realized I'm a complete idiot. She has a Dominator emblem, so she does have traits active. Slow Cooker, no, we don't have a super tank. Fortified, definitely will take that. Not the best one, because I feel like our front line in this comp doesn't actually live all that long. So it's a bit risky to take because sometimes you can't get the full stack. I'd rather get like giant size, for example. But as with every anomaly pick, you can't always get what you want. But if you try sometimes, well, you might find that you get what you need. So we needed a tank thing, so we got a tank thing. So we got that going for us. But we face a Corki 2, destroys us, get a Mundo 2 in next shop, anvil some gold, a belt from these things, and let us do a roll down. Do we want to roll down or go level 9? Well, spoiler alert, we rolled down because we need the Silco, and we also needed the Ziggs. We needed like a 2-star item holder for our damage dealer. Like anyone would do. Like honestly, even Elise would do. We could probably switch over Dominator Elise with those items. And yeah, let's pop this. We want a final tank item for this Mundo, so I think I could build Crown Guard on him. You know, I got Bramble there, so I guess we could build another Shojin or something like that. We have another Reforger. We could use that too. Redemption would have been probably okay, but I opt to go for the Shojin. That way we could keep the mana item plus Morello on our Ziggs. We could also swap the Adaptive Helm onto Mordekaiser if we do end up getting him, or just like Elise even, once we get a Silco 2 and we swap the items over to Silco. But I think ideally, this is how I would distribute the items. Shojin, Dominator, Morello on LeBlanc, and then Shojin, Nasher, plus something else on Silco. But I'm happy to say that none of that matters anymore because we got 2 Mordekaisers, going to drop him in, sell the Ziggs. Adaptive on Mundo. I want to put the Nashers on the Mordekaiser now. We actually get Mord 2 and Silco 2. I was not even trying to go for Mord 2. I was more so going for Silco 2. But here I think I should either remove the LeBlanc, put the Nashers, and put the Morello on the LeBlanc. But yeah, Nashers on Mord. You could even Morello on Mord and remove it later on. It's not bad on him. Whoops, I messed up my Elise there. I meant to keep her in the front line. But another thing we could do later on is move the Ionic Spark from Mundo over to Mordekaiser and then put a real tank item on Mundo. Especially since he has that anomaly where he wants to live a very long time. You don't want to put utility items on him in an ideal world. But in an ideal world, I am not making YouTube videos. I am chilling on a beach with a gazillion dollars, right? I do the cute little Mord drop back. I scouted a little bit. I saw some single target on the top left. Jace is like kind of AoE. He could survive that, so I could have left him on the top left. But without Edge of Night, I'm much more scared of my Mordekaiser just dying for no reason, even though he's 2-star. But you can see he's already doing... This guy's got 3 Dragon Claws. Is that the Academy item? So it like works doubly well, essentially, because he gets a bunch of buffs from it. So despite having like a lot of damage, because he has 3 Dragon Claws, we barely are able to scrape through that. And Jace almost kills all my guys. Like, I live by 1 health in my backline and they're able to finish everything off, but I could see a world where I lose to this person a lot. On Carousel, I'm going to take the Jeweled Gauntlet. Very nice item. I could also take Crown Guard. It's just a very solid frontline bruiser item / tank item. But right now, I want to focus on reaching level 9 because we are rich enough. I'm checking the other person. They're 5 Black Rose, 4 Dominator, so we should win this by default, right? Like, we have the 2-star Legendary. We got 3 items on him. Fantastic items as that. And even if they roll Declaw on their tanks from Thieves' Gloves, We should win, but somehow we lose. I think it's because our Silco isn't itemized. They also had a Dragon Claw while we had a Bramble Vest, so not a great matchup. This person is 7 Black Rose, so we're facing the 2 people contesting us. We're at 8 life right now, but we have a great positioning on our Mordekaiser. He's just right smack dab in like the middle of his team because he grouped up on one side. Gets a pretty nice pull and just whacks people. And he somehow finds a way to the back line. Did his Scion respawn yet? Like, Scion's supposed to respawn at 7 Black Rose. I forgot if we killed him the first time already. We probably would have won anyways, though. By the way, a nice unit to just slot in the late game is something like an Mbessa. She gives you Emissary and also Conquer, and there we get the Edge of Night. Very nice. So it's Nashor's Edge of Night for sure. Then I think it could be the Adaptive or the Jeweled Gauntlet. Like, I'm not sure which one's better. Maybe it's the Jeweled Gauntlet. The thing is, Jeweled Gauntlet works really well on my back line, because they're able to get more ability power stacks, whereas for my Mordekaiser, I just want him to cast quickly so that he could start killing stuff with his ultimate. So that's kind of why I decided to do it that way. And by the way, Scion does not count for bulky buddies. That's why I have Scion in the middle there. My Mundo, Vlad, Jace, and Mordekaiser are all getting the bulky buddies buff there, so don't worry about that. I may have forgotten about it when I first took the augment, but once I remembered that I had it, then I obviously kept it throughout the game. But this guy's playing Corki. He's got Rumble 2, so he definitely has a solid team, but his Rumble 2 does not have that great of items, so we are able to smash him. Just like how you are able to smash that like button on the below the video. Dude, I can't even do that with a straight face anymore. But we roll down. We get a 6 cost. Warwick, not ideal. We could skip that. The only ones I would play are Mel and Victor on this patch at least. Maybe in future patches it changes. I have this Malzahar. I don't think I actually want to play it though. I get to level 10, maybe you could play it, but I'm not getting to level 10 this game. I mean, look at it right now. So low life, so probably not reaching that point because the game's probably going to be over maybe on stage 6-5 at the latest, or 6-6. And here we're facing the Academy person again with a billion D-Claws, but we have the Mord 2 now with like perfect items, so we are able to destroy him. Down to 1 health for that player. I'm kind of just donkeying every shop to look for a 6 cost unit or this Elise. We get it. Nice. We could also get a Jace, but Jace isn't going to change that much about our game. So here we're facing off against the Silco player. We already knocked out the other Black Rose player. They went 5th. We're in top 4 right now, but yeah, I think there's a small difference between our team and theirs, and it's that thing that's like making things explode on the screen right now. Just look at the damage chart. LeBlanc actually kind of kept up, but Mord also tanking a bunch. It's just a very solid unit overall. Here I make a mistake. It's just Black Rose emblem. I took the, I think, Jeweled Gauntlet instead. Or did I take Mordekaiser? Was I trying to go for multiple Mordekaisers? I should have just taken Black Rose though. I don't know what I was thinking. Looking back at this replay, I actually played a lot of this game like pretty badly in my opinion. I was looking for a Silco item, but I don't really think I need the Shiv, right? Honestly, I think Guardbreaker would have been the best item there. But we face this guy again. This time he got the Black Rose emblem, so he is at 7 now. So there are 2 players that hit 7 Black Rose this game, which I think is pretty nuts. And that Scion is pretty scary in our face, considering our Mordekaiser's kind of like not hitting that many units. You want Mordekaiser to hit like grouped up units because he does like a, I believe it's a 1 hex or 2 hex AoE. And because he was attacking backwards, it kind of didn't hit anyone, but we are able to squeeze this win out. I wonder why. But we do still have 2 games left. Again, 2.4 average. We're not quite there yet. Out of the games that happened so far, we're at like a 2.74. So we got to shape up to get up to that little marker point, right? We start off on Mel's Galaxy. Anyone else like pretty down bad for Mel? A little off topic, I know. But most important thing to keep in mind whenever you are playing Mel's Galaxy is that it's okay to lose streak. It's okay to hit that 40 health threshold because you get a stimulus check once you hit that point. So you get a bunch of loot. It's different every time. It's usually like a spatula plus some stuff, a bunch of gold, or like a bunch of thieves gloves, things like that. So no matter what, it's going to find some way to buff up your team pretty nicely. We get another pretty good start for Dominators here. We get 2 Ziggs, which is insane, and a Morgana 2-star. And we also get, like, I should buy that. I should have sold Singed and bought the, sold Renata and bought the Morgana there. And we get good items. And since this is Mel's Galaxy, it's a little awkward because I have a 2-star Morgana in the back, and I could slam like Nashor's Tooth or Static Shiv on her. But because it's Mel Galaxy, I think I want to take what doesn't kill you. Glass Cannon's very nice and all. So is Slammin', but what doesn't kill you on this galaxy is so good because, I mean, you just don't get punished for being low HP. So I'm going to scout around a bit, check for like Chem Baron players. There's like one of them, so I could grief them as well. So it just makes this augment so good because I could do a full open fort, and you can definitely argue that it is worth it to do a full open fort because the chance of griefing the Chem Baron player is just too high. But I don't want to ditch my Ziggs. I want to be able to stabilize later on, and ditching Ziggs is a great way to not do that. But I end up losing the next round, but I make 11 gold. And then for some reason, I face the person playing Wandering Trainer, and the Wandering Trainer guy is also open forting. So despite having like trapping my Singe in the back and also like not playing a real board, not building items, this person with an augment that gives a bunch of traits is actually just trying to open fort to grief the other player, which I think is a little weird because if you are open forting, just sell all your units, you know? Lux and Trundle are by no means critical to that comp, right? But here we could go for red buff, no Shojin, but I could also go for a Warmogs. That's also pretty respectable. And since I'm not on a Giga lose streak, I don't need to open fort or anything, so I just play a regular board. And like I could even slam items here. I face off against the other Chem Baron player. It's ironic, right? I have what doesn't kill you, but I end up winning 2 of the rounds. Like, it's not like my boards were like the weakest things ever, but they weren't the strongest things either, you know, but the people are just open forting. So it happens, right? We end up getting a loss here, so pretty nice. We still end up making pretty decent amount of gold. When you are lose streaking like this, you do have to be careful. You have to make sure you can actually beat the Krugs. I could have done this without the red buff, but we had Ziggs too, so we're also fine. But I'm building red buff anyways because there's no other combination of items that I'm making with bows. So because of that, like I could save the belt for like a Warmogs now, which I think is one of the best items on Mundo. And we're going to get an extra component, so I'm not in a rush to finish everything else. I probably will build the Shojin though. That's just a generic good item. And here I make the mistake of building the Shojin right away. I thought he had items on his Aurelia as he was spawning in, so I'm thinking they're level 6, like they probably have some good traits out. So I might need to build this item to save some HP, but I end up actually winning this round when I wanted to lose. The reason why I want to lose is because you get a component with what doesn't kill you every 4 losses, and I'm on 3 losses right now. So I just want to find out what the next component is so I could play around it. Here, I don't really like Noble Sacrifice that much. I probably should have taken the one on the left, which is Scavenger. Thornplate's good if a lot of people are going for attack damage items. I don't need bad luck protection, and Mace's Will not that great, so I go for Thornplated. I think I misplayed this a bunch. I think I should have went for Scavenger instead. Scavenger is pretty decent because like I have a lot of units in the front line that could semi-use the items. I mean, if you're running a vertical comp, most of the units do stuff in this build, unlike most other verticals, because a lot of verticals, they play a lot of 1-cost units, but I don't play any 1-cost units. Like I play a bunch of 3-cost units, I play a bunch of 4-cost units, and I play a bunch of 5-cost units. So no matter what, like someone can make use of the items. It's not like I'm buffing like a 2-star Draven or anything with the Scavenger. So I definitely think I could have improved on my augment choices. But again, you see here, like I'm doing pretty decently. I know I'm not like first in the world or whatever. I'm not a world champion TFT player, but like I'm allowed to make mistakes and hit a solid rank, you know, like anyone can do this. And hopefully this video gives people a bit more confidence in their play. I'm going to go for Mundo here for all the reasons we talked about before, which is when I'm hard forcing a comp and I pretty much have all the items I need already, just go for the champions, even though the item might not be that optimal. But hopefully for some of the people out there who maybe they're like down on their climb thinking they need to play like so much better or something like that, like as long as you like are familiar with your comp, you play the fundamentals okay-ish, don't make like super duper mistakes. You make a couple minor mistakes here and there, or even some medium-sized mistake, you'll be fine. You'll probably climb eventually, you know. It does take some time, and of course you have to actually know your comp. By the way, I am going to level up here. Only cost me like 1 gold, and I could always sell stuff later to kind of get back up there. But I am kind of disappointed in some of the coaching videos of the games I coached that a lot of my viewers submitted, because a lot of people don't play the correct comp. So if you go on like the website bunnymuffins.lol/meta, you see an image of the comp that you want to go for, so you could add everything to your team planner pretty easily. You know how to position everything based on whatever the website has, and you know a couple of different variations too. So but unfortunately, when I did the coaching video, I noticed like a lot of people didn't actually have those comps like in a good spot. Like they're playing the wrong units, ignoring a lot of good substitution units, not building the right items, doing the wrong positioning, things like that. So I do really encourage you, if you are having trouble climbing, just like do a quick fact check on yourself first, like look at your replay and see if you have the right units in your build, because a lot of times people don't, and that could be troublesome. So here I build the adaptive helm again. I had a bit of an odd item combination. I have like too many items right now. In hindsight though, I think I should have built the Protector's Vow and Ionic Spark. I could have built Ionic Spark on my front line somewhere just to get that magic penetration, and then Protector's Vow is really good on Elise, but Adaptive Helm's good on her too. The thing is, maybe I want to save this Negatron to build a Declaw in case a lot of people have magic damage, because I have the Bramble Vest already, so lots of different things to kind of consider there. But here, Bronze for Life is good for other comps, but Power Shield's pretty good for Dominators because you get a bunch of shields, right? Reinforcement, I could take that. I could use it for Silco, but I already have a bunch of Mordekaiser, so it's not absolutely mandatory by any means. But I just go for Powered Shields. It's a solid augment, and we get our next item from What Doesn't Kill You, which is really nice. We reach level 8. I could like wait a bit. Like honestly, we're in a very good spot here because we're 72 life. And we got like a bunch of value from What Doesn't Kill You already, but we need to roll and hit a little bit of something. Ziggs, I could have held this board, right? I easily could have went 9 here, but I feel like I want to get a few more of the 4 costs and also try to get to 4 Dominator, because I think I was just at 3 before. And if I get Blitzcrank 2-star, that's another big upgrade for me that I think could have carried me throughout the rest of the stage. But I rolled a lot, I know, but honestly, I didn't hit. I think I started out with like a blitz pair and I didn't complete him. So that's not good, you know, because he has like 3 of my items. You always want to 2-star your item holder. So that's why I was fishing a little bit. And I also wanted to find 4 Dominator too. At least we found 4 Dominator, but just not in the way we want. We could have also seen like 1 stars of the other Black Rose units and then played those. And yeah, we get rocked because we didn't really hit that much. In the next round, I do another roll down, and this time I am able to hit a Silco and Blitz 2. That's really what I was looking for. Just like either Blitz or Mundo 2. Just get a 2-star tank, 2-star damage dealer. You know how I am most of the time. I say if you get one of those 2, or like both of those, you're going to be fine in a lot of games, even if the units don't really make sense that much. But I do think we are in a weird position where I think Malzahar works really, really well with these items. So I end up switching the items over onto him. Even though he doesn't have many traits active, he does have the Visionary, which is pretty decent. But Malzahar doesn't need that much. He has Automata and Visionary, so that's going to be solid for him. But the red buff is really what's going to be working a lot, because he just spreads his thing so well. And with red buff, he just burns everyone. It's just such a good item combo with like item champion combo. And we have a solid front line, so it burns a lot of time for everything to slowly die down. And he's doing what Ziggs can't do, right? Ziggs can't spread his bombs that quickly, which thank God, because if not, we wouldn't have much of the earth left. But like, yeah, Malzahar, despite not having many traits, dominating the damage charts there. On the carousel, we see a Mordekaiser, but we are a late pick, so I do expect other people to pick it up. Yep, someone else took it. We already have an Edge of Night on our bench, so we have a spare rod. We could build like a Crown Guard. We could build Jeweled Gauntlet. I think I'm going to go for the Jeweled, and someone lets us have it. I'm going to build that right away, and I'm Mundo pair and Silco pair. I could roll to 10, right? But we end up hitting a Mordekaiser, so I'm like switching my entire game plan, and I don't get the swap off in time. I take Malzahar out, but I don't get Silco in, so I have to do these items in a bit of a weird way. So stack everything on Ziggs, because Ziggs 2 better than Silco 1, but we'll replace the Garen with Silco, or maybe the Morgana with Silco. Either or, probably fine. And just watch Mordekaiser do his thing, because this guy is 2-star Gangplank, 2-star Swain. Like, his team's not too shabby, right? I think we actually do lose this. I'm willing to bet if we had 6 Dominator in, we probably would have won that round. On to the famous Anomaly. Do we want to go greedy or what? There's just a tank one. I know this isn't my favorite, but we do have a Warmogs going for us, so that does help out, giving more shield value to people. And unfortunately, I have to item swap the Blitzcrank over onto Mundo. It's another case of, like, I'm not that rich, so just take like one of the first tank anomalies you see. I would have preferred something on our Mordekaiser, but like with anomalies, doesn't always work out. So getting anything that's usable for your tank in like fast 8 comps or like 4 cost comps, I think is really, really valuable. you don't need perfect anomalies. A lot of people think they do, but that's more true with reroll comps. By the way, we did a roll down here. I'm actually not 100% sure if this roll down's that worth it. We had 3 pairs. We had Mundo pair and we had Silco pair, and I think Vlad pair, and we're also missing 2 Cassiopeias. But we had 25 gold. Maybe we could not have made it to 9, but I think we could have waited and then went 9 later. The reason why I caved, though, during the game was because I was thinking we already have moored, so we don't need to go 9. Also, like, we still need to get the 2-star forecast, so I could either roll for them now or wait 2 turns and maybe the other person who's contesting us gets those units before me. But then you might ask, why did I lose that last round? It's because I am an idiot. It's Mel's Galaxy and I forgot about it. So like the people who are lower than 40 health are just really strong. So even if I hit everything, I'm probably not going to beat them. So that's my bad there. But luckily, like, we get a big gold drop here. I should sell the Garen as well. I don't do it in time. But here we have a Negatron, so Ionic Spark makes perfect sense, right? Because we don't have magic penetration yet. Also a pretty decent Mordekaiser item. And then now we could do our roll down for Silco and for Cassiopeia. After that, I think you could go 9. Like, we're getting a little low right now. So yeah, get that, item remove, and then like just wait. Since I do have an extra remover and LeBlanc has full items, I'm just going to put the red buff onto the Silco. Helps him cast faster, so it's always good because he gets more attack speed. It's kind of like a fake Gnasher's Tooth, right? But it also has the added effect of having the things that he summons to do like the anti-heal on people. So I'm checking the what doesn't kill you. We actually do get 1 more component after our next loss, so I could have waited maybe on the item anvil, but Ionic's like an item I need anyway, so I'm probably not going to get anything better than that, and I don't want to just sit around waiting for like another loss and then I'm at like 20 some life, and that's a little uncomfortable. But another thing to keep in mind is positioning here. I like putting my damage dealers close to each other, so Mordekaiser and Silco near each other, and then LeBlanc near there too. Hopefully LeBlanc chains people that Silco and Mordekaiser are damaging. So normally you put LeBlanc 1 more square to the right. I have her too much in the center right now. That's why she didn't get her best ultimate off. I wonder how good this powered shields thing actually is on Dominators, though. It has to be good, right? Like, I mean, they don't give much shields themselves, like from their abilities, but from just like the innate Dominator thing, they get a shield, so it has to be worth at least something, right? Maybe there are better things, though. But we're able to face off against this pretty low HP guy, but he sneaks to our backline, so we're... do we win that? Wow, Mundo is scary stuff, man. I thought with the Bloodthirster, Mbessa could have sustained that, but not in overtime. What item do we want here? We could go for a 3rd Mordekaiser item and then swap the items over to some other people. We could also go for a Silco item because we could put the red buff on Ziggs, but there's really not much to go for here. I think we just go for a QSS, put it on Mordekaiser, and swap out one of the other items. Maybe put the Adaptive Helm on someone else. That's my favorite thing about Adaptive Helm. Literally anyone can use it, so it's pretty nice. Also, a lot of people might be wondering, like, do you want 4 or 6 Dominator if you don't have the emblem? I still like playing 6, but you could easily drop down to 4. The way you do it is you drop Ziggs and Blitzcrank, and then you run stuff like Garen, maybe like a Swain, things like that. They give you a couple of different traits like Form Swapper, Watcher, and the like, but you could also just run random legendaries or 6 costs when you see them. So if I do see some 6 costs, maybe I will drop down. But we're facing off against the Chem Baron player. They did like, I think, a 300 cash out, so they've been stabilized after that, and they have not dropped around yet, and they're still 30 life, so pretty scary stuff. We're against a ghost, the Heimerdinger ghost with Corki. I like that comp a lot. I want to play more Heimerdinger, but if I get AP, I build all the Silco items, so it's a bit awkward for me personally to play Heimerdinger, but I'm sure if I wasn't such a degenerate TFT player, I'd be able to get more Heimerdinger games in, but this was actually a pretty close match considering it's a ghost. The real copy probably does beat me. So we get pretty lucky there, but on most ghost rounds, you should win. It's the worst feeling in the world to die to a ghost, but what do we want here? Probably Steadfast. Steadfast could be used on like... Actually, it could be Hand of Justice for backline. Like, honestly, Hand of Justice Silco isn't that bad. Like, it actually might be more damage than the red buff, to be honest, but I end up going for Steadfast. I could drop it on the Elise. Let's try to get Elise 2 or LeBlanc 2, Garen 2, anything 2. Doesn't seem like... Oh, Mel. All right. Screw everything else. Put her in. I want to get this Adaptive Helm onto Mel now, so I'll just put this on Vlad. I could also take off a Thieves Gloves from someone and drop it on Mel. That's definitely very viable. But here we're against Urgot 3 with Experiment emblem. I like this comp a lot. Like, I haven't played it much, but I've seen some other people play it. I definitely see the potential, but because I'm degenerate, I only play like Nocturne reroll with range weapon, Corky Emissary, and this, and like some family reroll here and there, and some rebels too. Like, if I get Rebel Emblem, I'm not gonna not play Rebel Emblem. What's funny about this game is that I kind of have the bulky buddies set up. I like have a bunch of people paired up together, but I don't even have bulky buddies this game. But I moved my LeBlanc to the right spot now. She's like near the Soko, but not too next to him that they get hit by everything. And then like her chains allows both Mordekaiser and Silco to get their damage off really effectively. So that's going to be a lot of true damage for my team. His Elise kind of got baited into the left side, which is really nice. That way my main damage dealers didn't really get like stunned too much. And you can see the damage already, like Silco, LeBlanc, Mordekaiser, in that order, are doing a lot of damage. I end up doing a side swap, but I face a ghost again. So it's the Heimerdinger player and the Chem Baron player. And the Chem Baron player is at 265. So they're about to get their 300 cash out. So I do have to put the game out really soon. I did beat them last time I played them. So hopefully, as long as they don't get the cash out, we are chilling. And since I have this Mel, maybe that one extra life helps me out too. On Carousel, I'm just going to take this Mord too. I know it has family emblem on it, but you just have to take it, right? Because it's just a 2-star legendary. Who cares if I waste an item? I also don't have enough removers to kind of swap everything around, and we eventually do hit the Mord, put the family emblem on whoever, it doesn't really matter. And we have to do 16 damage to this guy. If not, he gets a 300 cash out. And he's got Savika too. He's at 290 out of 300. So that one turn of not stacking one time maybe mattered for him, you know? Like hitting the next threshold of Chem Baron actually did matter this time. So every time they nerf something by a little bit, like, it does make a difference, but you just might not feel it all the time. But some games you do, and the 1 out of 10 games you do, that's when the nerf really actually hurts. So this was a really close game because he got onto my backline, and they're about to cash out, probably going to beat me with another 300. But with a 4-unit win, we are able to close this one out somehow. I don't know how that was enough damage. You deal 12 round damage in stage 6 plus 4 units. So I had exact lethal, getting a first. And let's go into the final game. Next up is Victor Galaxy. So one thing to keep in mind whenever you are playing this is that you prefer teams that are able to fit +1s very easily. Because if you are getting a 6 cost, you do want to slot them in. And it definitely helps your team out a ton. Getting Victor or Mel, absolutely fantastic stuff. Here we do the family starter pack. Might be brain dead, but I still have a pulse. So I'm not like, yeah. I'm leaning into Dominators, but I'm not like giga forcing it. I didn't have the Visionary Morgana starts this game, but here I think it's just Iron Acids. You all know how much I like. Oh, delayed start's also good too. This one, you might do like a dealer's choice, you know, like I'm thinking delayed start though. I think that's what I end up taking because I have none of the units that can use my items right now. So I'm just like, maybe I hit one of the units that can use it. Did we do it? Let's find out. We get a Morgana and an Aurelia, so absolutely perfect. Like, we don't get any synergies, but it's better than nothing, right? First round, we face off against a Rageblade Kog'Maw, and Morgana's damage works like in a damage over time, so even if she casts her spell late in a fight, it doesn't mean you'll get the kill. And since I don't have any shops because of delayed start, I'm going to fast forward. We lose this next round barely. Actually, no, Morgana wins. I should have built my items last round, by the way. Sometimes I do like waiting to see if I win the first round, then I build to keep the win streak. And in case I lose, like I could potentially do a lose streak. But with delayed start, like at worst, you're doing like a win-lose, win-lose. You're never going to do like full lose streak because you have so many upgrades, right? So I think just build the items. I think I made a mistake there, but we go 3-0. Last pick on Carousel, I'm going to grab the tier. You can never have enough tiers in this build. I'm going to go ahead and level up. Also put in Bruisers. I'd prefer Sentinels, but whatever. I could have also put in this Vex over the Zyra for Visionary and Rebel. I really don't like or don't value Zyra that highly. You could argue like, oh, she has a stun, isn't that good? But stuns are more useful in the late game, not so much in the early game. But for the last round, I take out the Zyra, put in the Vex, get the Rebel buff. Hey, it's 3 traits, not bad. We face off against someone decently strong, but the good news for us is that all his item holders are 1-starred. So he's not getting max value from it, so maybe our Morgana can clean this up. I did slam the Static Shiv because I already had the Shojin, so the extra tier can be used for other items, and I'm barely able to squeeze this one out, I think. Like, let's see what happens. Yep, Annie dies, and Trundle also dies. Off neutrals, we get another Vex and 3 items, belt, sword, and a Negatron. Also a chain. So what items would you slam here? Pause the video and let me know. For me, I think it's going to be a Sunfire Cape because I'm win streaking. It's like a really good win streak item. Stone Plate's also pretty decent, but I feel like Sunfire Cape is just going to help us win streak the hardest. If I can fit Scrap in here, I would. I probably want to level up at the last second. Also drop in this Rennie. Rennie's a bruiser. We have 3 bruiser. What could go wrong? We face off against someone who's level 4, so we get an auto win there. Continue our streak a bit, which is really nice because we are 100 streaking. You always want to, like, in case you're ever wondering when to level 6 on 3-1, most of the time if you're on a win streak, you should do it. Just always scout beforehand because sometimes you beat everyone without leveling. But other people do it with the rule of if you can keep 30 gold, then you level up. Mentorship, no. Diversified portfolio, no. Corrosion, no. So I'm probably just going to do Fire Sale. Like Restart Mission, if I'm going like super win streak, I can take it. But yeah, actually it's, yeah, Band of Thieves because I'm win streaking. Like Fire Sale is good for econ. That's why we took it in the different game. But this game we're win streaking, so it's kind of like pseudo econ if we keep winning, right? And it's also pretty good power. But check the items first always, and then I got tank items, so I'm going to put it on one of the tanks, probably Aurelia. But maybe the bruisers can use it better because they have bruiser buff, whereas for the Aurelia, I don't have Sentinel. But I face a level 5, so that's a free win for us because we are level 6. Normally, always go level 6 on 3-2 unless you're doing some form of reroll. We don't really get anything that interesting in our next shot, but we are facing an Urgot too, so that's really bad for us because Urgot's really strong. But I think we sneak out this win too. The Bramble Vest that we, or not, sorry, the Dragon Claw we got, decently useful against the Zyra, not so much against the Tristana and the Urgot, but we get a win there. I'm actually surprised by this one. Our last pick on Carousel, we have a Negatron and Sword, so we just need to finish off the items there. I'm debating going Ionic or Dragon Claw, but I think there's a bunch of magic damage this game, and we have the Static Shiv already, so we don't need the Ionic. Easy level up decision here because we are like 50 gold, level 7 essentially. Drop in the Sentinel to help out Aurelia, but we're facing off against a Swain 3, so this round is going to be a little bit tough. He's running 3 Experiment, but only Urgot has items. He's also more of a DPS Urgot, not so much a tank Urgot, but his Swain's going to be dealing a lot of tanking. Trundle gets Sterix Gauge, which honestly is one of the best options because we had Sword on him, so I think that's the tankiest option you could get from that. But we barely just are not able to kill the Swain. He sustains back up, and we lose our win streak, so not that great. Some people roll whenever they are win streaking, but we didn't really have anything that critical, so that's why I didn't do it that time. This person has a bunch of upgrades as well, so we end up losing the last 2 rounds. Like, it's okay. Like, we have a ton of gold. We're level 7, 14 gold pre-leveled. We have a Ziggs in our shop, and then we get Tier and Rod from these items, so not bad at all. Also get a chain and another rod. Okay, a bit too many rods. Maybe we could build a Hextech Gunblade, but let's do a roll down. We're level 8 already. We could have waited, but why? Like, I don't like being contested, so if I ever am like semi-contested, I always do a roll down. We hit a Mordekaiser. That's huge. I'm going to sell this Trundle. I'm going to build you-know-what. And do we have 4 Dominator? We do have 4. We're missing, yeah, some upgrades, though. Our whole team's pretty much 1 star, like all the important people, right? So it is a little risky, but I don't get the item swap off in time. But Mordekaiser, I find him in stage 4 to be absolutely devastating, even if you are not playing Dominators. Like, you could just play him in like 2 Conqueror, that's it, no Dominator. He will carry a lot of stage 3 and like all stage 3 he'll carry, but stage 4 he'll still do a lot of work if you do happen to get him early. You could say like, oh, that's because he's a legendary, like all legendaries do that, but I don't really find that to be the case. Like, a lot of legendaries, they don't carry as hard as he does because he does both tanking and DPS. So if you hit a solid DPS unit, you still need tanks to make them work. If you hit a solid tank, you still need DPS units to make them work, but not Scrap, not Spirit Link. We're too high health. Black Rose could be done too, but I'm looking towards Big Grab Bag or Black Rose. Probably going to settle on Black Rose just because it gives us an extra bonus to our team. If you're running a trait in your team and you get a trait augment offered for it, like, you pretty much have to take it because that's how they are balanced. So I've seen some videos of watching other players and they're going a certain comp, they see like a crest for their thing and then they skip it. I'm just like, you can't do that, you know? Like, you have to, like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like if you're making a pesto and like you're supposed to use pine nuts and then you're like, nah, I don't want pine nuts, I want to use almonds or something, like, or some other nut, right? You can do it. Like, there are other options to take there, but like, if you have a best in slot nut, like, just use that nut. Come on. It's that simple. But yeah, we're facing it against the Ziggs. They got an Elise, but we have Mordekaiser, so GG there. We get a nice little win here. Do we? Okay, he almost tricked us. Let's do some scouting. AP, AD Sniper, AD Urgot. Looks like he's trying to do Dominators, but he's got a Bloodthirster for some reason. Renata, some Emissary build, Sniper. We probably could have chilled earlier and probably not rolled, but too late. We weren't like that heavily contested this game. Maybe one person's going for it, but he could be going for something else too, because he has a Bloodthirster. I don't know who that's for. Like, maybe he's building it for Mordekaiser. I think Bloodthirster is the most overrated item on Mordekaiser, because you've seen him in all these fights, right? He like heals all the way back up without an Omnivamp item, so like, why would I need more Omnivamp? Bloodthirster's still good, don't get me wrong, but it's more so just because he's a frontline carry, and Bloodthirster is good on any frontline carry, you know? But I don't think it's like especially needed on Mordekaiser, so could have gotten the glove there, but they took it. So Chain or Negatron? I think Chain. Go for the Protector's Vow Elise. And we hit a Garen here, but I think I want to go level 9 because we could definitely make it there this game, because we have so much health and decent board. A lot of people struggle with knowing when to go 9. I think I said before in the video already, if you want to win the game, try to go 9. If not, like, stay on 8, get your 2-star 4 cost, and try to like stabilize there, because it's a bit greedy to do anything else. So all you really have to worry about is knowing which game to go which. So we don't have Silco. This is a decent Silco anomaly. I don't really like it that much, but it's good. Fortified, I don't have Mundo, so I can pretty much only get a Mordekaiser augment here. This one sucks, and I try to cook a little bit. I cook too much here. I go for Deep Roots Mordekaiser, but it's really not good on him, as you'll see in a bit. But as always, I play TFT, so you don't have to. And what I was cooking up here was, hey, Mordekaiser cannot get CC'd if you get Deep Roots, so it's pretty much like having a Quicksilver on him, right? And that logic does still apply. It's still good in that sense. But Mundo or Mordekaiser likes attacking groups of people, and with Deep Roots, sometimes he gets isolated and can only attack one person, so it kind of wastes his ultimate a little bit. So that's why I don't think it's that great. I think you need to position him in the center instead of the side. So I learned that throughout this game. On the edge, he doesn't hit that many units, but normally he's good on the edge because he could like claw a lot more people, and then he'll like walk to his targets, right, and then attack the groups that way. But with Deep Roots, yeah, you don't want him on the edge. We're gonna go for a Mord item here, though. I think Giant Slayer is gonna be the best. We remove the Protector's Vow from him, and Giant Slayer is gonna be especially good since I'm gonna be putting him in the center because he's gonna be hitting a lot of tanks. So Edge of Night, Rabadons, and the Hat. And the Giant Slayer, and we're gonna be good to go. Protector's Vow on my tank, so once I get Mundo, gonna swap that onto him. But you may notice like some differences in this game versus some of the other ones. It's like sometimes I roll pretty hard for Mundo, right? And that's normally because I have a pair of Mundo. Remember, I think it was last game where I had like pair of Silcos, pair of Mundos, and I rolled on like stage 4, 6. And the times I do that is when I have pairs. Like, see, sometimes Mord is attacking nothing, and also there aren't many units grouped to him. That's kind of the weakness of this, but you live and you learn. That's why you have to experiment or watch other people experiment so you don't have to lose LP for it. But again, like, I didn't roll aggressively this game because I didn't even have the pairs, so I'd have to roll like 50 gold to hit them. So we go 9 instead, and we get the 6 Dominators in. Very solid stuff. 4 Black Rose. I could go 5 Black Rose if I take out Swain for Morgana, but I think I want to wait until I have a LeBlanc to go for 5, and then put the Black Rose crest on like my Ziggs or Cassiopeia, someone who I don't really care too much about. But holding the items on the Cassiopeia right now, just because like Silco, I don't really need him that much. He's 1-star. He's kind of useless and sucks at 1-star. But again, you see my Mordekaiser has a lot of downtime between his roots, so I really do need to center him. But again, like, I make the mistake, so you don't have to. So if you ever cook this up on Mordekaiser, like, it is okay, right? Like, getting resistances and extra health, like, definitely is not bad for him because he's going to heal all that up, right? And he's going to be a nice sustain tank. It's like building a Titan's Resolve on him, right, in a way, and like a Warmogs. It's not bad on him, but I mainly get it for the QSS part because he can't be stunned. So as long as he's able to keep attacking every turn, I think it is decent. But I wanted that redemption, but someone else took it. I guess I could go blue buff for someone, maybe on like LeBlanc. It's not the best, but not the worst either. And I am level 9, so I want to do like a mini roll down with 30 gold. I could go down to like 20, see what I hit. If I got some pairs, I would have rolled a bit deeper, but you probably could have rolled to 10 here. Probably doesn't make that much of a difference. I was just trying to see if I get like Mundo or Silco pair or even Mordekaiser pair and then roll down to 0. But here I wisen up a bit. I put the Mundo closer to the center, and here he gets a lot more action going. This is against the Renata player too, so all his people are grouped up. So a little bit more value. I did kill everything too quickly, so it doesn't get like insane value by any means, but he has a crab there, so he never gets like sitting there doing nothing except at the very end. But at this point, like, he can't contribute that much anyways, and we get the win there. Oh, also, I did forget to mention, if you do get a blue buff, like, Cassio is a really good user of it too, because she doesn't have much mana. But here I'm going to roll because I got the Mundo pair. If I get Mundo 2-star, it's going to be a huge upgrade to my team. You could argue that I'm not that desperate to roll, and it is right before the PvE round, but I'll counter that by saying 43 life when everyone else is so close and probably spent all their gold. I just want like any bit of power I can to save HP to try to top 4. I don't think I'm actually going to win this game because I don't have like perfect items, for example, and I don't have the best anomaly. Like, for example, if I had like Shojin and then like a jeweled gauntlet for my Silco and I had a Silco 2, then yeah, probably I'd try to go for the win, right? With the rest of the items the same, but like my Mundo items aren't perfect. My backline, I got like a weird combo. Like if I get Silco 2, it doesn't even affect me that much because it'll end up just having like 10 mana items and a Shiv. And then my Mundo, like Vow, I have to replace and put that on my Elise. But I do get LeBlanc, which is nice. Elise has the Thieves Gloves though, so I can't really remove that from her. She's a great user of it. And here we get a Nashor. So Nashor's is really good. I want to drop that on my Mord. You could have also went for the Warmogs, put that on Mundo, would have been solid also. But yeah, I'm going to drop the hat. Who holds the hat? Maybe, I think I put it on the Swain for now. No, I put it on Silco. It'll probably just go on LeBlanc later. In fact, what I should have done this turn was sell the Swain, put in LeBlanc. I don't know why I didn't do that, to be honest. Like, it's like a no-brainer when I'm looking at the game right now. Put the Black Rose Crest on like the Ziggs and then just have 5 Black Rose and hat LeBlanc. And then hopefully the true damage thing that she does will be able to activate pretty well because my team is decently solid. But we face off against a Corki here. This Heimerdinger is wrecking us because he's got great items, and you can see from the damage charts like my team is lacking in damage just because I took a tank anomaly on the Mordekaiser. So the one key thing to note about Quicksilver on Mordekaiser specifically is that it both gives him the can't get stunned effect, but it also gives him attack speed over time as the game goes on, or like as the fight goes on. So it does more than just like the no CC effect, so that's one thing you kind of have to keep in mind. But I dropped down to 4 Dominator. I think I probably should have just played the 6 and just dropped Swain. I don't know why I was so keen on keeping this Swain. Maybe I just forgot that he was there. That could be a very possible explanation. But I'm going to swap the items up a bit. Yeah, items on Silco and the LeBlanc. And since Silco's 2-star, I want to put 3 items on him always. But I don't want to stack up on like double mana item. We're facing off against Renata. And yeah, I think we get a 3rd here. Guaranteed, because I think the other people are going to knock each other out. But you could see the Mordekaiser cooking a little bit, right? Like, it's not completely horrible. It's just there are better things to do in life. My Silco bombs did not hit the Morgana, so that's a little unlucky. So we end up actually losing this round. That's crazy. That's a robbery. If our Silco's thing flew to the Morgana, like that easily was a win, and we have an extra life to play with. But rolling down to 0, gonna try to find this Garen 2-star. That's another weird thing about why I sold the Dominators is like all of them were 2-stars, so I don't know why I did that. I know Swain is giving Conqueror, but like, is it that good? I don't know. Like, I mean, it's not bad. Mordekaiser is my main carry, but he's only 1-star. Like, it's stage 6. There's a big difference between Mordekaiser 1-star in stage 4 and 5 versus stage 6. So I can't really play around him unless he is 2-star. So I think I should have dropped the Conqueror. Like, he's still a solid tank up front, because he'll take some damage, then Edge of Night procs, and then he'll heal back up. And overall, it's pretty good. But we get a very close fight here. And this Alawi just somehow barely hangs on every fight. It's crazy stuff. But Silco finally comes into the clutch. Like, you can see, like, his Heimerdinger is just, like, destroying me in damage. And we are able to make top 2, so that's pretty big there. What do you guys want here? I wonder. Do I want this Victor that stuns the entire board? Oh, man, that's tough. That's tough. All right, we take the Victor. Even though it has Enforcer Spat, who cares? My Conqueror cash out gives me an Echo for some reason. And who do you take out? I take out the Vlad. I am valuing this like Conqueror buff a lot, like probably too much this game, I'm gonna be honest. But yeah, just drop those items on Garen, it doesn't matter, right? Like, but give him a little bit of tankiness. Who am I facing? Oh, it's the Renata player that won. That's perfect for me because I destroyed the Renata player. I was only like really getting close fights against the Heimerdinger. So props to the Renata player for taking out my counter matchup. We were kind of in like a rocks, paper, scissors scenario here where I lose to the Heimerdinger, but I beat the Renata, but the Renata beats the Heimerdinger player. So very fortunate for me. Maybe with the Victor, I would have beat him though, to be honest. Victor, I mean, he beats everyone, right? But what do you guys think about this Mordekaiser? Does Deep Roots cook, or is it just like a troll thing to do? Like, maybe it's takeable though if you don't want to re-roll your anomaly too much, right? But there it is, 2.4 average, 1-1-1 in the final 3 games. Got me to 300 LP, which was good enough for Grandmaster at the time. But overall, we went 4-1-6, 3-6, 2-5, 1-1-1. So 2.4 average. And every bot 4 we did not hit Mord, and every first place we had Mord with Edge and Knight. So use that information as you will. Let me know what you all thought about this video. What comp do you want to see next in the future patch? Let me know. As for the coaching, save your VODs for the new patch. It comes out on the 8th because I definitely still want to do those videos too. But we finally made it through 10 games in I think 3 hours. That's got to be a world record for me, right? A bunny